alarm now. Give us the location. Give us where you're working right now.
So right now we have crews between Mountain Boulevard and Campus Drive. We have just made evacuation orders for those areas. At this time, there's at minimum 4 structures involved with a significant area of vegetation currently burning.
Can you give me an approximate acreage?
I couldn't do that right now, no.
Are you able to sort of pinpoint at this time where this might have sparked and how that might have happened?
At this point, we know it started around 1:15 p.m. Crews have been on scene for about 45 minutes. We don't have a cause yet at this point. At this point, it's been an active firefight for 40 minutes, and the area has expanded dramatically over those 40 minutes. So we've got about 80 firefighters, no reports of any injuries. The Cal OES pre-position rigs have arrived, so we've got extra companies to make the 4th alarm, and we'll be here for likely several hours at minimum.
So what is your firefighting strategy right now?
Trying to get a perimeter around the fire, get people evacuated from homes, try to identify all the spot fires and begin to mitigate those as quickly as possible.
Okay. Now, when you say evacuating people from their homes, that leads me to the question of egress, right? How easy is it to do in that area? Because I know when you get into the Oakland Hills, sometimes it's not that easy getting down and getting out.
Yeah, I mean, we encourage people to leave as quickly as possible if they're in those impacted areas.
How about road closures?
Going door to door and making announcements.
Okay, so what about 580? Which portions are closed right now due to this fire, which it's coming right up against the freeway?
Basically, Keller is closed right now, and I believe everything else is open.
Okay, so Keller Avenue, the exit is closed.
Keller Road.
Are you telling me that 580 in both the eastbound and westbound directions are unimpeded at the moment?
I'm not on the freeway, so I can't really tell. It might be closed in the westbound direction, but I'm not near the freeway right now, so I couldn't tell you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And because we did have a witness who mentioned that the westbound might have been closed. Okay, is there
eastbound looks like it's still flowing, but I can't see the westbound direction.
Okay, I'm sensing in your voice that you got to go. Do you have to go?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Michael, thank you. We'll check back with you later. That's Michael Hunt with the Oakland Fire Department giving us the latest information, which confirms that they have no injuries right now with regard to this fire, that they have about 80 firefighters on fighting at the moment. However, 4 structures have been consumed, and firefighters are trying desperately to keep the fire from spreading, both in terms of to other structures and more acreage, although he wasn't able to give me an acreage. But that area has a lot of trees, a lot of dry brush. We've been telling you that with this red flag warning, this was a real fear because these offshore winds are expected in the 25 to 35 mile per hour range, with gusts reaching 50 to 65 miles per hour. And these Diablo winds can certainly spread fires. Joining me right now is Karina Nova, my colleague, who has also been gathering information on this fire. What do you have, Karina?
Yeah, Kristen, we've been following this fire since it started, and Sky 7 was up over it on the live stream for you, and we've been watching it. You just saw a map of exactly where this is, and just to give you some perspective, this is near Sequoia Community Church. It's on Keller Avenue, and that's right near the fire. We've seen this fire grow. It started as alarm 1, then it went to 2, 3 very quickly, and then to 4. It's a 4-alarm fire with 80 firefighters on the ground with evacuations happening. And we were looking at live video from Sky 7 just not too long ago. We saw homeowners running in and out of their homes. We saw Oakland PD look like in the neighborhood, going from door to door, I'm assuming telling people to get out and evacuate, warning them how close this is to their house. And you can see from these images, again, multiple structures impacted already. And it looks like the fire continues to grow. It's getting very close to this neighborhood and that intersection where these firefighters are working. It's at Mountain Boulevard and Campus Drive. That's where all those firefighters are. It's gotten bigger and it's gotten closer to the freeway, which we're trying to find out exactly what's closed. We do know Keller is closed there off of 580, I-580, but at this point we are trying to figure out if 580 east and westbound, if the freeway's closed there. We're getting a closer look at, does that look like, Kristen, police officers at some of those homes? And yes, you can see the police cars warning people to get out. As we heard from Michael Hunt just a moment ago, they're trying to tell people to evacuate as quickly as possible from their homes.
And I believe that was Maynard Drive. I saw that in our shot. But evacuation order is in place for Campus Drive and Crystal Ridge Court as well. Yes, we do see a lot more firefighters arriving on the scene. And folks, you know, I'm just also talking to our own newsroom here. There are a lot of businesses around there that perhaps we can call and make sure they're okay. There's the Elsa Child Care Center. There is an Ivy painting. The point I'm trying to make is that there are businesses and homes there. There's a church, and there's that popular Leona Trail, right? That's part of that whole complex, the Leona Canyon Regional Open Space Preserve, where a lot of people like to go to recreate. I don't know if they had this particular part closed for today. I do know that some of those East Bay Hills parks have been closed, like Grizzly Peak, precisely because they know what the conditions were going to be like, and just any little thing could spark a wildfire.
And we've been talking about it and warning folks over the last couple of days, this red flag warning. And here specifically, it's the winds. And you can see it here with the smoke a little bit, that red flag warning impacting people that are here because of the big winds in the Oakland Hills. And you can see how quickly that fire can start and spread. And that has been the concern over the last hour. Here's a map that we're seeing of exactly where this is happening. 4-alarm fire right at Keller Avenue and Mountain Boulevard. For any of you that are familiar with the area, you want to avoid this area if you can. Looks like they're probably going to be shutting down more roads and possibly the freeway here in this area, because as we're seeing from our live Sky 7 shot, that this fire is it's butting up right to 580 right there. And as we zoom out, if we can show that Sky 7 picture here in just a moment, we'll show you just how massive this fire is now, the amount of police and fire presence here. We're told 80 firefighters, but at this point they could be calling more. And it does look like, from what I'm seeing, looks like one side of the freeway is closed off because it's right there along the freeway, and you can see the flames from earlier today as well. Yeah,
and that was one of our witnesses, Kevin, who called in, said that it did appear that westbound, I think, is closed, and that is because it is, I'm sorry, it would be possibly eastbound, the side closer to the east, which is where the fire is. And as you know, if you know, my physics is not great, but fires tend to burn uphill due to heat rising and the airflow dynamics. And so that's what's happening here. It's burning uphill towards the homes in the hills, really close to that Leona Canyon Regional Open Space Preserve, which is so full of trees. Oh, and you can see from that 580 shot, they have held up cars at Keller Avenue, which is what Michael Hunt with Oakland Fire told us, that you can't get off there. They don't want you going to that area because that's exactly where it's all happening. But also, they do want folks to get out if they live in that area, because the danger is still very much real. It's spreading. And again, we want to confirm that westbound 580 is closed. And what avenue is it at? From Keller to 98th Avenue in Oakland. Okay, so that's a, I don't know how many miles that is, but that stretch is indeed closed. So you want to be aware of that. But look at this, just to zoom out again. And if you're just joining us, we're on the air right now. You're not watching General Hospital because there is a fire in the Oakland Hills on this red flag warning day.
And Kristen, for anyone that's tuning in and wondering exactly where is this, you can see it right here. We're seeing a lot of smoke and flames, but this is at 580 and Keller Avenue. But some of you might know Skyline Pizza, that's right there at Keller and Campus. Also, Sequoia Community Church is on Keller near this fire. A lot of businesses, as you mentioned, and many, many homes. The last update that we got was that 4 structures have been impacted, but as you can see here, and this is live Sky 7 video we're looking at. This fire is very close to the neighborhoods right there. It's going to impact a lot of homes here, unfortunately, a lot of people who hopefully now are evacuating. We're seeing the police vehicles telling people to get out and evacuate.
Yeah, we just got word that Contra Costa Fire, as expected, has now joined this firefight, helping out Oakland Fire. And in conjunction with Cal OES, they have already increased staffing of their specialized resources, specific types of fire engines and also the aircraft. They expected this to be a high fire danger day, so they were prepared with increased staffing and increased resources. And now it looks like they are needing it, from Oakland Fire to Contra Costa Fire. They are certainly trying to do their best to contain this fire, keeping it to the 4 structures that have burned so far, both dousing the homes themselves and also the vegetation that is burning, and that is burning more and more, creeping up those very, very, very dry hills in the Oakland Hills. I mean, the dryness is incredible right now. We have humidity that's dropping below 30% and dropping really quickly over the last few hours as the wind speeds have increased. So October, as you know, is when we've seen some of the most devastating wildfires around here, right? The Oakland Hills fire, who can forget that, in 1991, that destroyed literally thousands of homes and killed 25 people not too far away from here. And then, of course, we had the North Bay firestorms in 2017, also deadly, and destroyed 8,000 fires. So October is a prime time for wildfires, just because that's when things are so dry. We haven't gotten the rain yet. And when you get a wind event like this, this is something that is quite possible.
And this area specifically, Kristen, very dangerous for these homes. Our meteorologists have been warning us, talking about this red flag warning for much of the Bay Area. It's no surprise that we're seeing it here today, but it's going to be in place for the next couple of days. Dangerous conditions. We have low humidity, as you mentioned, high winds, and that is just a recipe for disaster when it comes to anything sparking and then spreading the flames like we're seeing here today. And this fire, it started about an hour and a half ago. That's when we're told from Oakland Fire that they arrived at the scene, and they've been battling this fire for a little bit over an hour now. It started out as alarm 2 and quickly now is a 4-alarm fire burning here very close and touching, unfortunately, as you're seeing there, the neighborhoods right along that brush line. A lot of trees, and as you can see here, the dryness, that yellowish color of the brush, that unfortunately is bad conditions for a fire like this to spread.
That dryness, that yellow that gave us our name, the Golden State, it's not for the sunshine. It is for the dry hills. And it is something we love, and it is something we fear, especially in October. And yes, we're continuing to stay on the air for you as we monitor this 4-alarm brush fire that's broken out in the Oakland Hills, sort of at the foot of the hills, and the fire is spreading upward. We don't know how many acres right now. Oakland Fire and Contra Costa Fire are not able to give us that right now, but we can see how big of a battle this is becoming. They have 80 firefighters confirmed, plus more arriving. We have aircraft. We have the dropping of retardant and water. This is all near 580, which is, as you know, a busy freeway right around this time. Folks are going to start to go home soon from work. And we do have the westbound directions there around Keller to 98 closed because of this fire. The flames are just right up against the edge of the freeway. Hopefully it doesn't jump across, and then you keep it on that one side, because once you get over to the west side of the freeway, you have much more density in terms of homes and businesses and all that as well.
And Kristen, just a reminder for anyone that's watching, the evacuation order is in place, and it's for Campus Drive and Crystal Ridge Court. Firefighters tell us there are no reports of any injuries, so thankful to be able to report that to you. But there is an evacuation order in place for Campus Drive and Crystal Ridge Court. That's the latest update from the fire department. And we are trying to get more updates for you. The very latest from when we spoke to the fire department, 580 westbound closed, 80 firefighters on scene, and we have Contra Costa Fire now helping out here. This is the area of Keller and Campus. Many businesses, as you mentioned, we have the Skyline Pizza is right there. If you need a perspective of where this is happening, Sequoia Community Church right there as well. And this is the neighborhood that we're watching closely. Many of these homeowners being told today to get out, evacuate as quickly as possible. As you can see, this fire continuing to spread. We're looking at the flames. That's a live picture from Sky 7. The left part of your screen, the right part of your screen maps it out.
Okay, yeah, that is very helpful. And you can see those are the evacuation areas, the developments under evacuation. And folks, you know, the Oakland Fire Department, even before this broke out, was telling people, hey, the red flag warning remains in effect until 5 o'clock tomorrow. 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So any activities that could spark a wildfire should be avoided. Of course, we cannot control everything, but there are things you can do to try to minimize wildfires, brush fires, like we're seeing right now burning in the Oakland Hills. You know, certainly avoid campfires, that's obvious. Avoid grilling, don't burn any debris, avoid smoking and throwing out those cigarette butts, avoid power tools, right, for chainsaws, anything like that. So hopefully, and even lawnmowers. So folks, you know, try to do your best to help us all get through this situation. It's going to be windy, very windy, until at least tomorrow afternoon. And they did ramp up in terms of personnel and equipment in the Oakland Hills just to be cautious because they know what can happen. We've seen it in 1991 in October when you have these conditions that could certainly spark a fire and then it just rips. So, okay, here's a shot. Karina, I know it's an earlier shot, but it's very interesting. You can see the burning is right up to the trees next to the freeway 580 right there.
Yeah, you were seeing that was on the right side of your screen for any of you that are watching. You can see how close it is to the freeway, which is why they have 580 closed there at Keller and telling people to avoid the area if you can. And we're looking from Sky 7. You could see we have air help now from the fire department. Looks like they're going to be dropping retardant and water onto this fire to try to get the flames under control. And if Sky 7 zooms in a little bit more, we'll see if the flames are still as strong as they were just a little while ago. This fire has been ongoing now, and we've been covering it on our live stream. There's the retardant. You see the red being dropped right there. It's been going on for more than an hour. We do have one of our reporters standing by, Ansar Hassan, who just arrived at the scene. He has a better view from the ground. Ansar, what can you tell us? What are you seeing and what is happening from your perspective? We've been seeing it from Sky 7, but now you're right there on the ground getting a better picture.
Yeah, you guys, as you mentioned, we just arrived on scene, still trying to gather some information, but I can confirm CHP has shut down westbound 580. We are at eastbound 580 at the Keller off-ramp. We know that Oakland Fire says it's burned about 8 acres so far. Mandatory evacuations are underway. We just got an alert that that impacts the areas from Mountain Boulevard to Campus Drive. Now, these mandatory evacuations are underway. 4 homes have been impacted. We were able to confirm that with the Oakland Police Department. We don't know the extent of those damages, don't know if there's any reports of any injuries at this time. You can see there's been a large fire response out here. Cal OES and the Oakland Fire Department were already pre-positioned given the wind event and the PSPS event that we've had. It looks like they put out much of the fire that was burning earlier along here on 580 westbound. But as you can see, it might be hard to see from where you're at, but the fire continues to jump to different areas and now it's spreading uphill, and that's the concern, and that's why they have asked for those mandatory evacuations. Oakland Fire says that they're going to try and create a perimeter around the fire and come in from the outside and work their way in. We'll bring you the very latest as we learn more. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
All right, Ansar, thank you so much for that report. We'll check back in with you shortly as you get new information and we update this fire happening In the Oakland Hills, we do have an EAS alert that we need to give you this information immediately. This is an EAS alert. We need to read it word for word for you because this is a civil authority. They've issued an immediate evacuation notice for the following counties or areas. Alameda, California. This is 30 p.m. on October 18th, 2024. This is effective until 2:30 p.m. October 19th, 2024. And this is a message from IPAWSCAP. The City of Oakland evacuation order between Mountain Boulevard and Campus Drive due to a fire. These zones should evacuate now. Hopefully you know your zone. These zones, OKL-E203, OKL-E176. We're told we had to read this word for word for you. This is an EAS alert, and we want to get that information to you as quickly as possible.
All right, in the meantime, as you heard Unser say, we now have our first word of the acreage burned so far, and it is at 8 acres. So still relatively small, but 8 acres in a densely built up area is still a lot of homes at risk. So this 4-alarm fire in the Oakland Hills, it has reached 8 acres. 4 to 5 structures, we're told, have been impacted directly. Oh, you can see the red on the roof there. It appears that a plane had gone through and dropped fire retardant. That is the red mark there on the roof, which has solar panels there, you can see, to try to prevent that structure from burning up. And so far, it looks like it, keep your fingers crossed, has been spared thus far. But many more homes are threatened, in addition to the 4 to 5 that have been impacted. And again, 80 plus firefighters on the scene and more possibly going. As you see in these live pictures from Sky 7, this brush fire, grass fire, vegetation fire continues to burn uphill from 580 around Keller Avenue in Oakland and threatening and going in the direction of that Leona Regional Park. So OES, Cal OES has apparatus going, Cal Fire, they have aircraft going, and they're ready on site, in fact, and they've been doing their job, and they're telling folks to evacuate, and they're telling folks not to get off in that area. You cannot anyway, as the westbound direction of 580 is now closed at Keller Avenue.
And Kristen, we're just trying to get more updates from Cal Fire and of course Oakland Fire and Contra Costa, as they all are on scene now working to get this fire under control. That is very close to, unfortunately, these neighborhoods and all of these people. You can see one of the helicopter right there from our Sky 7 helicopter hovering over that area and the homes, trying to protect them. They're putting down the retardant. The Cal Fire plane dropping their orange and pink chemical retardant on the fire, trying to protect these houses. Look how close those flames are to that home right there. And on the right side, what you're seeing, that is also a live picture. This is from our crew that's on the ground. You just heard from our reporter, Ansar Hassan, giving us the very latest. And you can see they're trying to prevent that fire from spreading. And we've seen it before, Kristen, jumping over the freeway. And right there, they have all those crews lined up, trying to douse this to prevent any of those flames from spreading any farther. A lot of crews on the scene here. We were told 80 just a little while ago, but it seems like more crews are showing up. We're seeing Cal Fire help and help from other departments as well, trying to get this fire under control. 580, by the way, is shut down for any of you planning on driving this way.
Yeah, you probably also saw in the shot a minute ago that there was a firefighter who was raking. So folks, you've probably seen with regard to fires, when you rake, one of the purposes is to create a containment line or maintain a containment line. It removes both the surface fuels like leaves, pine needles, and small debris that can burn so easily. And you can use it to also expand the cleared area of a fire line to prevent it from, burning up that part. You see it right there. That's what he's doing right there. And so really tough work out there for firefighters, the 80 of them out there right now, to keep it from jumping 580, but also to keep it from burning up some of those neighborhoods as you go up the hill from the freeway there. But you can see in red 2 of the neighborhoods lots that are under evacuation orders, and the orange, I assume, is get ready to get out.
Yep, some of these are borderline very close to this fire. Look at the live pictures we're seeing right now from Sky 7. Massive flames here. And just so close to this home right here. Just unfortunate to see that. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to get these flames under control. We've seen them spread as we've been on the air for now over an hour watching this fire here in Oakland, and right there happening off of 580 at Keller. Just the very latest, I want to give you some more information because Oakland Fire just put this out on Twitter. They've been updating. This is a 4-alarm fire incident now at 8 acres burning. 4 to 5 structures have been impacted directly, with several more threatened, and we can see that just by looking at these live pictures here. There's several neighborhoods so close to these flames. 80 or more firefighters on scene. The position Cal EOS apparatus and Cal Fire Air and OP support have arrived. So they're getting all the help that they need. They have the helicopter there dropping the retardant and water as well, and trying to just douse this fire, trying to get it under control. You can see the firefighters walking there along that property line with the fire so close to that home. We're told that this is right there by that neighborhood. And let me give you the cross streets if you're wondering, if you're just tuning in. This is the area that is impacted is Mountain Boulevard, Campus Drive. Those people have been evacuated at this point, but the area has expanded dramatically since we've been on the air covering this fire.
If I could ask our control room on one of these split screen sides to bring up that evacuation zone again, because I'm going to talk about that. There we go. Thank you so much. With new information from the city of Oakland. All right. This is their evacuation order from Mountain Boulevard to Campus Drive, as Karina mentioned. So the red zones there must evacuate now. Those are OKLE 203 and 176. They say people in these zones are in immediate danger. This is a lawful order to leave now. These zones are now closed to public access. So when they say leave now, this is what they mean. Again, this is information coming to us from the city of Oakland. Bring all people and pets with you. Bring only essential items and medications. Lock your doors when you leave. Take one vehicle. This is very important because this will help keep roadways open for responders. We talked about how in the hills, those streets can be narrow, can be windy, and there are not a whole lot of them. And be ready to walk out in case roadways become blocked. And here is another important note. Do not call 911 for evacuation instructions. All right, don't call 911 unless you have a life-threatening emergency there. Don't call for evacuation instructions. We are giving you the instructions right now, and you can follow the social of the city, Oakland Fire, for that. And once again, if you're in those two areas, those zones, if you will, in red, you must evacuate now.
And Kristen, this is all happening. Of course, we have a red flag warning for much of the Bay Area. It went into place last night. We knew the conditions would be bad and could impact something like this. Something like this could happen because of that red flag warning. It's because of the low humidity and the higher winds. And that is a bad combo for fires to start and then spread this quickly.
Oh, can I butt in for 1 second?
Yes, go ahead.
When we were zoomed in, we just zoomed out, but if we can zoom in a little bit on Sky 7, did you see that roundish bowl-like looking location? It's kind of in the center of the screen there, right there to your right now. Oh, it just, just appeared from the screen. That is, we believe, part of the Kaleo Christian Fellowship and the East Oakland Assembly Pentecostal Church, which are just right next to that round circular field that you see there. And right beneath that, you have Maynard Avenue, which is sort of like the epicenter of this thing. And you can see all along there with the red and orange, powdery looking thing. That is the retardant, the fire retardant that's already been dropped by the aircraft in the air to try to break up and prevent some of these flames from encroaching. And
it does sound like from our reporter who's there along 580 that it seems to be that the fire right along the freeway at least is under control. So let's check in with him and see if he can give us the very latest. This is a fluid situation, of course, so Ansar, sorry to break back into you, but we do want to get an update and see how the situation is looking from the ground.
Yeah, that's right, guys. I just spoke to Oakland Fire. They have now confirmed that 7 homes have been impacted. They haven't described, it means if they're totally gone or minor damage. That's all still under investigation, and there are no reports of any injuries at this time. We're told that this is now a 4-alarm incident, and this fire is quickly moving up this hill. Even as we're out here, it may be tough to see, but this wind is really moving quick. 100 firefighters are out here. CAL FIRE air support just arrived. We saw them flying overhead just a few minutes ago. They were waiting for that aerial support. That's going to be really important, especially as they try and target the fire as it moves up this hill. We're also told it's all hands on deck. Oakland Fire is out here. Alameda County Fire is out here. They say the fire is now somewhere between 8 to 10 acres. Again, no reports of any injuries, but its fire is quickly moving up the hill. One thing I want to point out, it looks like this fire along 580 is all out. One thing, as happens whenever there's a fire and there's a lot of wind, it might be hard to see, but it's moved pretty quickly and jumped around. You can see this area right here, a fire broke out. Just a short distance down that way, you can see another fire. If you look through that fence, you can see there's another fire that was burning up that way. So a lot of haphazard areas, patchwork where this fire is burned. Again, we will try and meet with Oakland fire officials coming up to get the latest, and we'll bring you the very latest as soon as we have it. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
All right, Ansar, thank you so much, and that's good to know that the little patch there near the freeway seems to be under control there. As we bring you back to Sky 7 and also another vantage point sky, or just a live picture where you can see the thick smoke that is now from our Sutro Tower camera, which is rising, showing the East Bay Hills enveloped in smoke, dark black smoke right above them, showing that is an active burning fire, flames going right now, consuming a lot of the dry brush that we've been saying was getting drier by the minute given these high winds, fast winds, so fast with gusts 55 miles per hour that we've been seeing in the Bay Area, with humidity dropping quickly as a result, and already dry hills in November or October, that is. And so that is the recipe for a possible wildfire, and we're seeing that today.
And Kristen, we heard from Oakland Fire tell us just a little while ago that they're probably going to be here on scene for a couple of hours. And for any of you that do take 580, you're going to have to find another route. Westbound 580 just east of Keller Avenue in Oakland is closed. The Keller Avenue off-ramp is closed as fire crews work on putting out this fire, and people should just expect delays. Try to find an alternate route if this is your way in. I'm seeing the picture that Caltrans District 4 just put out, and traffic is at a standstill here on westbound 580. If you know of somebody that heads home from work this way, it looks like this will be impacted for at least a couple of hours, as we know from the fire department that this fire is going to take a while to get under control. But some good news, as you heard from Ansar Hassan, our reporter there on the scene, that it looks like they were able to stop that fire there at the freeway at 580. So hopefully there's less concern of the fire jumping over the roadway onto the other side. And this is a map showing you exactly where this is all happening. Evacuations are in place for these neighborhoods here, and we've seen people get out of their homes. We've seen police going door to door telling people to get out, and a lot of homes impacted here. We do know there are 2 new zones that are impacted by this evacuation. Kristen, I know you have this pulled up if you want to share that information.
Oh, yeah, I think we have it, right, guys? Do we have a map of that? Because previously we had said OKL E176 and E203. I actually don't have the exact lots nearby, but E177 is close by, and that was previously in orange. So there we go. Okay. Oh, they actually added 3 new areas. So if they're in orange, I assume that means you either go or be ready to go, but that's OKL E178 and E179, and as I stated, 177 as well. So you can see an expanded area has now been impacted by this fire that broke out a little over an hour ago, very close to 580 at Keller Avenue, Mountain Boulevard, and it's burning its way up the hill as vegetation fires often do, dictated by physics and all, and that is also the direction where the fuel is, and that is also the way the heat rises. So definitely, if you're above this fire burning area, do not assume you are safe. And if you're in a downwind area from the smoke, please take precautions and try to minimize the inhalation of that smoke, which can be not healthy, especially for folks who are sensitive or have, asthma or other issues. So they always say to stay indoors with windows and doors closed if you're not in an evacuation zone, of course.
Right. And we know this is now at least 8 acres burning, and it continues to spread. You're seeing those flames. Kristen, look at this. We've been watching this for over an hour now. We brought it to you live on our live stream as quickly as we could, and it just continues to spread. Those flames there, that is a live picture from Sky 7 over the scene, and unfortunately we're not seeing those flames die down, and that is why you're seeing more evacuation orders in place. The fire department telling us at least 8 acres burning, and that was just a little while ago, so assuming at this point it's more. 4 to 5 structures have been impacted, and there are more than 100 firefighters on scene. They are working hard to try to get this fire under control, try to protect these neighborhoods, many of these homes. You can see how close they are to the flames, and they have CAL FIRE air support here. They're dropping down retardant and trying to protect. Look at all those neighborhoods that are right there, probably hundreds of homes that could be impacted by the flames here.
Okay, I'm going to ask our control room if we can to pull up the PG&E PSPS map. That is where they show where they have the power outages that they kind of do voluntarily, preemptively, where they warn you beforehand, hey, you're going to have strong winds in your area. Okay, so here we go. See all those purple triangles? That is where PG&E, the utility, has already shut down your power, de-energize those lines to try to prevent a wildfire that may be sparked by any down power lines. And you can see there are a number of those in the Oakland Hills. So they have tried to take preventive actions. There's some in the South Bay, many more in the North Bay and the Sonoma, Napa counties and points north, but certainly in the East Bay, right around the area, close to what we're talking about, 580. You can see some of the purples are probably just east, just to the right of 580, where the fire is actually burning right now.
And Kristen, this is just interesting timing. Tomorrow marks the 33-year anniversary of the deadly Oakland Hills firestorm. That was October 19th, 1991, the tunnel fire. In that fire, 25 people died and nearly 3,500 homes were lost. And we know that when seeing fires like this, it just brings back, terrifying memories for residents in the Oakland Hills. And here we are, we're seeing it today. We've been covering this for you. Our meteorologists have been warning you of the red flag warnings that are in place, and that the conditions would be unfortunate to see something like this happen. We have low humidity, and then we have windy conditions, and that is what is helping spread this fire that we've seen grow over the last hour and a half or so.
Once again, if you're just joining us, there is a fire burning in the Oakland Hills right now, and there are evacuations at Campus Drive and Crystal Ridge Court. There are whole communities up there that are being told to get out. This is a 4-alarm fire right now. 8 acres have burned. 4 to 5 structures burned is the best that we have right now. 80 plus firefighters on the scene. And, the fire and the smoke, I should say, is visible from almost everywhere in the Bay Area right now. You can see it from the Bay Bridge. Do we have a shot of that, folks? Can we give our viewers some different angles so they can see the scope of the smoke? And this is from Sutro Tower looking across, right, eastward. And you can see that thick black smoke showing active fire burning right now.
And there's a look from Mount Tam, and you could see all of that smoke there. It's fairly far away from that camera at Mount Tam, but you could see just how big that is. and how massive of an area. We're told at least 8 acres impacted, but at this point we can assume that there are much more impacted from the last update that we heard from our crews and the fire department. And you could also see the smoke from our ground crews. They're right off of 580 and Keller, not too far from this fire, showing you what it looks like from the freeway. Again, 580 is closed, 580 westbound closed for any of you traveling this way. A lot of people driving by this, seeing this, impacting homes, many homes that are close by to this area that have been evacuated at this point.
So there you see on the right, we have a helicopter. We've seen several of them going by, the firefighting helicopters with CAL FIRE that are dropping water. We've also seen some planes drop retardant on some of the homes down there, and also areas of grass and dry brush. That is really the issue on this red flag warning day that we've been warning you for days was coming. And the danger extends to tomorrow because the windy conditions will not go away until tomorrow afternoon. So for now, even if you're not here in the Oakland Hills, if you're in the Berkeley Hills, you're in any of those hills in the North Bay, even South Bay, do take every precaution to minimize the chances of accidentally sparking a wildfire. A lot of our nature preserves and hiking areas, trails, mountains where people like to go hiking are already closed as a precautionary measure. And certainly to prevent this, again, okay, on your left here, you're seeing Sky 7, seeing some of the brush that is burning there, some of the trees that have been consumed. You can see how close it is to that home there as well, just hoping that it doesn't get to the home.
And giving you some updates on just important information to know. First of all, the 580 westbound closure, it is closed in Caltrans District 4. They put out information on this, but passing this along to you because it looks like fire crews are going to be here for a couple of hours. So you can plan on taking a detour. 580 westbound just east of Keller Avenue in Oakland is closed. The Keller Avenue off ramp is closed as well as fire crews work on putting out this fire. And we have several neighborhoods here now evacuated. So we're trying to listen in and hear from some of those that are impacted and have been evacuated. I believe we have somebody on the phone that is, her name is Sally, joining us, who has evacuated. Sally, can you tell us the situation and whether you've evacuated and exactly where you live as well?
I'm the clubhouse manager at Sequoia Country Club. We are not evacuated at this time, but are told the fire is moving up Keller Avenue. We can see a large plume of smoke from our club property, and we can tell that the fire has increased because of the size of the smoke. And we continue to see dark smoke, which I assume is another structure going up. That's about all that I know.
Can I just ask you, I can see how close you are to where the flames are. What precautions have you taken this week? And also, you know, did PG&E shut off power to you guys preemptively too?
Yes, power went off immediately at the beginning of the fire. So we are without power at this time, and we are taking precautions now to begin evacuating our property because we have a lot of people on property and we don't want to get into a negative situation.
No, absolutely.
We want to keep everyone safe.
I meant, look, being up there, certainly you know what can happen, the worst case scenario, and may even remember the Oakland Hills fire. I'm wondering, when you operate a country club such as yours in that area, what do you do as a matter of regular practice to minimize your fire risks?
Brush clearance.
And I imagine you've been doing that all this week, right? And it's
a continuous process for us.
I see. And you're not too far away from the Oakland Zoo.
That is correct.
I haven't seen anything from them. Have you heard anything with regard to the animals or the zoo or anything?
No, I assume that they're beginning some preliminary preparations, but I don't have any information on that.
Sally, how many employees do you have there, and what are all of you doing at this point? Are you just kind of watching closely? Are any of you trying to head home? What's the situation there?
We probably have about 80 employees on property. And as I had said previously, we have preemptively decided to evacuate our property so that everyone is safe.
Okay. Sally, Alexander, given that you have a tall task ahead of you to evacuate everybody and communicate with everybody, we're going to let you go. But thank you very much. Stay safe.
Yes, thank you so much.
And we just want to go over those evacuation orders once again for anyone watching. We have zones OKL, and it's E203, E176. Those are the evacuation orders that are in place, and then there are evacuation warnings for E177, E178, and E179. So more people impacted by this, and we have that pulled up for you on the right side of your screen. And then on the left side of your screen, what you're seeing is a live picture. It's video from Sky 7, our helicopter, showing you the area that's impacted. You're seeing some of the red. That's the retardant that's been put down to try to protect these neighborhoods and all of these homes. And we're seeing water being dropped. More than 100 fire crews on scene here. The firefighters there, they've been battling this for maybe up to 2 hours now. It started shortly after 1 o'clock, and we've been watching fire crews just working so hard to get this fire from spreading and continuing to spread, but unfortunately at least 8 acres impacted so far in this area, and we know at least 4 to 5 structures impacted as well.
Once again, folks, right now it's 3:02, so normally we'd be in our ABC 7 News at 3 o'clock newscast and show, but of course we've been on the air since shortly after 2 p.m., and that is because of breaking news today. We have a fire burning right now that is growing in the Oakland Hills, a 4-alarm fire in an area that is just so prone to wildfires this time of year with the red flag warning conditions that we have today, with these exceptionally fast winds and dry conditions, exceptionally high fire danger. And now we are seeing it in the hills, this fire that broke out really close to 580 along Maynard and Mountain Boulevard. There is widespread impact from homes that are under evacuation right now to 580, a portion of it being closed there at Keller Avenue. So therefore, we're seeing cars being held up on 580. Not sure if they're going to get them to turn around at some point, but they're not getting off on Keller or going past that because of this fire that really at one point burned right up to the edge of the freeway. We do understand, while nobody has been hurt so far, or at least no one reported, 4 to 5 homes have burned. An intense all-out firefight is happening right now with at least 80 or more firefighters. We're talking about Oakland Fire, we're talking about Contra Costa Fire, we're talking about Cal Fire. All are involved with their man and woman power, in addition to aircraft dropping fire and retardant. And what do we have? 100 now? Firefighters. Okay, so 20 more have joined this battle today in the Oakland Hills. Approximately 100 firefighters is the latest we have battling these flames. And
we have 2 crews who are on the scene as well. Hopefully we'll get to hear an update from our reporter Ansar Hassan. We also have another reporter, Suzanne Fawn, who is there as well. So we are trying to get you better pictures and more updated information from the ground. But really the big things to know are the evacuation orders that are in place, and hopefully anyone that has been told to evacuate has evacuated already. But the evacuation warnings, those are the ones that they added. Unfortunately, this fire continues to spread, so they've added 3 zones, and those people are just watching and waiting to learn more information. A lot of houses in this area that we know are impacted, neighborhoods of people who are just hoping that they get this fire under control and this won't impact their homes. At this point, about 4 to 5 structures have been impacted. We saw firefighters putting out flames at one of the homes there. And we've also seen this fire spread to over 8 acres. And let me give you some of the cross streets and the areas that are impacted here. Mountain Boulevard and Campus Drive. That area, they've been there for about 2 hours now. This started shortly after 1 o'clock, and they do plan, what we've been told, to be here for another couple of hours at least. You can see why. You're looking at the live pictures on the left side of your screen of all that smoke, the flames. They're still battling flames at this point that continue to spread, and they are putting down the retardant and trying to get water doused over these dry areas as much as they possibly can. People have been evacuated. They have Contra Costa helping. They have CAL FIRE air support there. And as Kristen mentioned, more than 100 firefighters there trying to get this fire under control that is moving up the hill and through all of that dry brush, unfortunately, in these very bad conditions, low humidity and windy conditions.
This is, by the way, named the Keller fire after the location, the street where it kind of started, best they understand, although they're not able to tell us exactly what sparked it. We do know that conditions are ripe for this fire to break out today in the manner that it did, because we've been warning of this red flag warning, high risk period, right? It is just such high fire danger due to the combination of winds that are just so fast, the Diablo winds, and the low humidity, and the temperatures, although not super hot, are warmer, getting warmer. And as you see another CAL FIRE helicopter there doing its thing and trying to drop some water on the areas being threatened most. But you can see the smoke from throughout the Bay Area now. And you can see on the right, one of our crews driving across the Bay Bridge was able to capture that thick black smoke that just rises from those hills where they are burning right now, with the full recognition and memory of 1991, where we had the devastating Oakland Hills fire that destroyed 3,500 homes.
25 people died in that fire, and it's just devastating to see that. We know October is one of the worst months, and here we are watching this, but we've been warning, our meteorologists have been working so hard to warn everybody that this could happen over the next couple of days into this weekend, so please be prepared. The Red Cross just putting out this information: during a red flag warning, fires can start easily and become very difficult to extinguish. And they're talking about the firefighters who are battling the Keller fire. That's the one we're watching here in Oakland, and telling everyone to avoid the area and follow those evacuation orders. And for anyone that's nearby here, if you're looking at this, you're watching, and you're in a neighborhood that's close to here, please make sure you are set up for alerts and all the information that you might need to evacuate very quickly. As we know, this fire has spread, it's continued to spread, and it is moving very quickly.
You know, one thing that I'm seeing that I'm encouraged by is that you're not seeing mass jam up of cars in those hilly roads and in the hills themselves, right? In terms of people evacuating.
Right.
It seems to be orderly. We see police cars that seem to be blocking certain roads and kind of directing people in terms of the direction out. But that kind of traffic flowing is a good thing, because we've seen wildfires, whether it's like in Lahaina and Maui, or certain areas where people get trapped. Certainly Paradise Fire, the Camp Fire, people were stuck. Not seeing that, so hopefully people are getting out safely in an orderly way, and certainly in those zones. There are 5 zones now, 2 where you're under mandatory evacuate, get out now, your life is being threatened areas, and then there are 3 orange areas where you're being warned to be prepared to go.
And we want to get another update from our reporter, Ansar Hassan, who's been there for about an hour now. Ansar, can you give us an update as to what you're seeing, and if it looks like they're making any progress?
Yeah, guys, definitely they're making some progress. When we arrived here about an hour ago, we could still see flames burning along 580. Take a look behind me. We have confirmed with Oakland Fire that 7 homes have been damaged. This is one of them. You can see firefighters are still trying to spray down the home and the homes nearby it. You can see the extent of the damage. We spoke to some community members who live in the area. They said that the family that occupies this home are really involved in the community, have done a lot of community work, and just really upset to see one of their neighbors lose their home like this. You can see, as we were explaining earlier, the fire that was burning along 580 westbound has been put out. Traffic is just a few minutes ago started to be let back through. 580 was not shut down. Again, we spoke with Oakland Fire Department just a short while ago. They said that up to 8 to 10 acres have burned. The aerial support has come in, and that's really helped. As I mentioned earlier, we talked to a resident who knows the people who live in that house. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
Because I know that this company, there's just not they provide so much community service for people that in need. They've probably been on TV stations because of the services they've done, but the services they provide. And just to see their house being destroyed, I know it's a big impact on them. It will probably impact the services that they're able to give to other people. So it's sad. It hurts.
It's tough when you see good people. See happening live, this aerial drop that just happened. As I mentioned, Oakland Fire Department saying that this aerial drop is really going to help them as this fire quickly spreads up the hill. You can see, I don't know what you can see on your screen right now, but at the top of the ridge, a bunch of homes. That whole neighborhood has been evacuated under mandatory evacuation. We don't know how long firefighters will continue to be out here focused on this home, but it seems like they'll continue to stay here to monitor the homes that are in the area along with it. We will continue to bring you the very latest. A lot happening here on the ground. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
All right, Ansar, thank you so much. Right now, we want to bring in meteorologist Sandhya Patel. And Sandhya, you've been warning people, and you can tell us exactly why this fire is spreading so quickly and it's so dangerous right now.
Kristen, around this time of year when you have very dry fuels, they're at near record levels. You combine it with some wind and low humidity, and that's where the fire danger comes in. As we take a look at a live picture right now, you're watching from Sutro Tower camera. You can see the smoke is going up and it is blowing sideways because there is a breeze. So take a look at the current conditions near the fire. It is 71 degrees, 10% relative humidity. That's how dry it is there, with the wind coming in, gusting to 19 miles an hour. This is the concern. You get the winds pushing the flames, and it doesn't take long before the tinder dry conditions just go up in flames. Take a look at the winds at this hour. Over the next few hours, it is going to remain gusty in the Oakland Hills, and they will eventually come down, but only to pick back up again overnight tonight. Oakland Hills right now, gusts to 24 miles an hour, Mount Umunhum 30 miles an hour. Keep in mind, we have seen wind gusts as high as 75 on Mount St. Helena in the last 24 hours, up to 50 elsewhere. Now, at the lower elevations, it's not that windy. Oakland right now, 12 miles an hour. But the humidity values, once again, are concerning. You look at the inland spots, and they are in the single digits. So we do have that red flag warning going. That is until 5 p.m. tomorrow. We've been warning you about this. This is not something to take lightly, especially in October when we have some of the most destructive fires. Gusts to 40 miles an hour. This is the latest from the Weather Service. They have dropped the wind speeds, humidity down to 8%. Fires can grow quickly. But keep in mind that even though that's what the criteria is, over the ridge tops, you can get even stronger winds. A wind advisory is still up, and that is because the gusty winds up to 50 until 8 a.m. tomorrow. Possibility of few outages and downed trees. Looking at the overall wind picture over the hilltops, we are still looking at some very strong winds going into the overnight hours. So the fire danger index accounts for dry fuels, gusty winds, low humidity, and that's where the fire danger is. High to very high, including the Oakland Hills. 7:30 this evening, still high in some of our hilltops. Early tomorrow morning, elevated, as you will notice, continuing into Saturday morning. Once again, there is a live picture from our Sutro Tower camera. I'm going to switch the camera if you could stay with me. From Mount Tam, you can see that the smoke is going sideways because the wind is blowing it. Hopefully, because they've got dozens of people on the fire lines, they can get this one out quickly. Kristen, Karina.
All right. Thank you so much, Sandy. That makes a lot of sense. And as you said, I didn't even know there was 75 miles per hour, some of those gusts. That is even crazier than we were saying earlier today. And you can see we have a couple of live pictures up just to show you, like from multiple vantage points, whether it's Sutro Tower looking east or from Marin County looking south, you can see these flames that are burning right now. This Keller fire in the Oakland Hills, which has consumed 8 to 10 acres so far, 100 firefighters on the scene. 4 to 5 homes already burned. Luckily, no injuries at the moment, but it is an all-out firefight right now to prevent another Oakland Hills mass tragedy. And this is by Oakland Fire, Contra Costa Fire, Cal Fire. You can see they've got planes coming in, some of the big ones that carry a lot of water that they're hoping will slow the progress of the flames.
And if we can pull up the evacuation map just to let everyone know, there are 5 areas that are of concern, but 2 that do have mandatory evacuation orders in place. You can see them right here on the map. There are 2, the ones in red and the one in that, the 3 that are in that orange yellow, those are the evacuation warnings. The 2 that we're concerned about where that fire is very close are the 2 that are in red. And we do have our reporter, Suzanne Fawn, on the scene there giving us more information right near this fire. We're going to check in with her in just a moment because she's at campus in Keller, and that's one of the areas that is impacted by this.
Right. Okay. So until Suzanne gets there, I just want to reiterate what the city of Oakland is telling folks is that if you're in one of those evacuation zones in red, that means leave now. Do not wait. It means bring all the people and the pets with you. It means bring only essential items and medications. Speed is of the essence. Lock your doors when you leave. Take one vehicle only. If you have a family, pack everyone in one car because this will help keep the roads unclogged and open for responders. And so far we're seeing that happening, so that's good. And be ready to walk out. So you got to have shoes on in case roadways become blocked, because sometimes that does happen in an evacuation, in an emergency. A road becomes impassable, perhaps due to, fire burning in front of it, and therefore you have to walk in a different direction. That is all possible. So, folks, once again, we have an evacuation. Just take one look at the map and see if you're in that area.
And there is an evacuation center that's at Burkhalter Elementary School at 3994 Burkhalter Avenue, for any of you that need to know that information. And we're also told that there's a preschool that's evacuating as a precaution. That's Skyline Preschool in Oakland. We talked to one father whose child goes there, and they said that they decided to evacuate as a precaution, and they are having parents pick up their kids. They're just a couple of miles from the fire, but the families that are impacted by the evacuation order want to take the kids out from that school as a precaution once again.
That makes a lot of sense. And I just want to, again, reiterate, based on what I was seeing officially so far, 4 to 5 homes, but UNSER has been telling us 7 on the scene. So completely trust UNSER that 7 homes have now been impacted, burned in some shape or form by this fire. And it's been going since about 2 o'clock this afternoon. And this is in the Oakland Hills a day before their big anniversary of the most devastating firestorm that any of us in the Bay Area can remember. And that was in 1991 when we had 3,500 homes burned, dozens of people who perished. And, there were lessons learned after that, right? They became more aware of improving firefighting resources, coordination between agencies. People made an effort when they rebuilt their homes to really harden the homes, right, in terms of making the properties more fire resistant, and also evacuation planning and drills. They do that now as a matter of regular course. And there's been a lot of attention paid to vegetation management, right, to clear brush, do that frequently, often, clear the empty lots, reduce the fuel loads. All right, in the meantime, we want to just let you know, just got words that the evacuation zone has expanded once again.
And you could see they added, they had the one part that was in yellow. It is now in red. So we have 3 evacuation orders in place, 2 as a warning. So the ones that you're seeing there in the red, those are the 3 evacuation orders that are now in place. They just expanded it, so it's just showing you the severity of this fire, that it continues to grow and it's impacting even more people, even more neighborhoods and homes in this area. Do want to let you know this other update, that 2 lanes of traffic are now opened on westbound 580. So it does look like they were able to tackle the fire from that side of it. So it did not spread, and they were able to get traffic going there on the freeway 580 westbound. But now they have expanded that evacuation order, and because the fire's spreading and impacting even more homes and neighborhoods. What you're seeing there on the left side of your screen right there, that is a live picture from Sky 7 over the scene and all of those houses that are so close to this fire.
Right. And just want to, maybe we can pull up a tweet from Oakland Mayor Shen Tao, who tweeted just moments ago. And this is a statement, the first statement from Oakland Mayor Shen Tao since this fire broke out in her city. And she is now commenting on this fire that has grown to about 10 acres and 7 homes in the hills on this red flag warning, high fire danger day in the hills, a day before the anniversary of the devastating Oakland Hills firestorm of 1991. I'll start to read what she says. She says, firefighters and emergency responders are responding to a vegetation fire in the Oakland Hills near Mountain Boulevard and Maynard Avenue. Evacuation orders have been made to residents in the surrounding area. Residents should ensure they are using our evacuation program and for Genesis and AC alerts for updates. So the Oakland Fire Department does recommend that people sign up for AC alerts. So that way, you know, if you do have an emergency in your area, you've signed up for the alert, they know where you are, you'll get that alert on your phone to, you know, so that you can get out as soon as a warning, an evacuation order, and as soon as a danger emerges in your neighborhood. So sign up for those AC alerts, especially if you're in fire-prone areas, folks.
And this is all because of that red flag warning. People in this area and all throughout the Bay Area have been prepared, as our meteorologists have been warning everybody that this would be a problem over the next few days because of the humidity, the low humidity, and the winds that we're seeing, which we continue to track. And it is very windy in this area, and that is fueling those flames and the fire. We have our meteorologist, Sandia Patel, here, who's been watching this very closely. And Sandia, what can you tell us about the conditions here and how much they're impacting this fire?
Well, Karina, it's not a good situation around this time of year. Tinder, dry conditions. We're talking about near critical fire weather conditions to critical fire weather conditions as the fuels are so dry. So you can see why the fire is spreading and there are more evacuations underway. It doesn't take a lot of wind to really push the flames when you get the hot, dry winds. So let's take a look at, this is from Sky 7, obviously, but I'm going to show you a live picture from our Sutro Tower camera right now, where you can see that smoke is up, and we are going to continue to see the flames moving because take a look at the conditions. It is 71 degrees right now. Relative humidity, it has dropped since 24 hours ago. It's down to 10%. We told you that when you get those downsloping winds, offshore winds can really dry out the atmosphere. Right now, winds are gusting to 19 miles an hour. They will remain gusty for the next couple of hours, subsiding a bit in the late evening hours, only to pick back up again overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning. Our hope is that the crews will get this under control before that next round of windy conditions comes our way. We have seen wind gusts in the hills, 40 to 50 miles an hour. Mount St. Helena, 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's in the last 24 hours. A lot of this peaking during the overnight hours. Right now in the Oakland Hills, the winds are at 24 miles an hour. Mount Diablo nearby, 24 as well. Lower elevations, the winds are not as strong, a little gusty, but not as strong at this hour. Here is what is concerning. The humidity values are in the single digits already in our inland communities, so that red flag warning is going. That does include, of course, the Oakland Hills area. Winds gusting to 40 miles an hour, even stronger over the higher terrain, relative humidity in the single digits. We are seeing this already. The Weather Service is warning that fires can quickly spread and grow, especially when it is so dry out there. Until 8 a.m., there is a wind advisory. It's for the North Bay Mountains until 8 a.m. Tonight for the East Bay Valleys and Hills until 11 p.m., including the eastern Santa Clara Hills. Gusts to 50 could cause some power outages and down tree limbs as well. We're going to go hour by hour, and I'll show you those winds. The northerly wind component, that really dries out the atmosphere around this time of year. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we're looking at 24 to 29 miles an hour in the Fairfield, Napa area. So, of course, with the winds continuing to ramp up during the late night hours, you can see Oakland is at 15. But in the hills, even stronger winds expected as we head towards midnight. 32 around Calistoga, going into early tomorrow morning, very gusty. Once again, the concern is this wind direction is coming out of the north. That tends to dry out the already dry atmosphere even more. So any fires that do develop besides this Oakland Hills fire is going to be problematic. We're seeing this right now, the fire danger index showing you the high fire danger at this hour, continuing the next couple of hours. You can also see that this is really going to remain a high fire danger situation, 12:25 in the morning and going into 5:50 in the morning. Once again, if you're just joining us right now, I do want to show you the winds in the hills at this hour. 24 miles an hour in the Oakland Hills. But as you look at the conditions near the fire, the relative humidity is what's concerning, 10%. Kristen, Karina?
And I can't believe it's dropping that quickly, Sandia. That's what's crazy.
Well, you know what? Yesterday we had a northwest wind, Kristen and Karina, and a northwest wind transports higher humidity from the ocean towards the land. Last night, while many of us were basically in bed, or late last night if you were still up, the wind started to switch direction more to the north, and that happened at 11 o'clock last night. I was watching it. We were on the air. As that northerly wind began to develop, the humidity values just plunged, and that's what we were afraid of. You've got critically dry fuels, you have very low humidity values, and then you combine it with what's happening, which is even a small fire can get out of control. So that's what is concerning when you look at the humidity values in some of our inland areas like Concord, Livermore, in the single digits right now. In the Oakland Hills, it's down to 10%. So hopefully the crews can get this one under control. It is not a good situation this time of year.
Thank you, Sandia.
All right, and we do have our reporter Suzanne Fawn now ready to give us an update. She's at campus in Keller right there in that area. And Suzanne, what can you tell us from the ground?
Well, Kristen, we're actually at Keller and Greenbridge. Now, on to my right here, there's a man who's just getting off the roof. He had spent the last half an hour spraying his roof, dousing it, making sure that he could protect it and keep it cool. Now, I want to turn the camera around and show you up in the hills here. On this street right here, you see lots of cars, vehicles making U-turns. This is because people are being told to leave this area. They've been told to evacuate this area. Once again, we are at Keller Avenue and Greenridge. Now, just about 5-10 minutes ago, we saw a number of aircraft. We saw a fixed wing fly over and dump thousands of gallons of retardant. Then we also saw a helicopter fly over and dump thousands of gallons of water. Now, in the distance, we can see fire trucks lined up in front of a number of homes. People are standing on corners. They've been told to leave, and we see people packing belongings into their car. Further in the distance, we also see a steady stream of water. Firefighters appear to be putting water onto the rooftops and, again, keeping those roofs cool and protecting those homes. Further in the distance, up in the hill there, you can see where the fire has apparently burned that hillside. It is black, it's charred. We do see smoke. So obviously this is an area that's very, very sensitive as we see lots of more fire engines pulling up here. This is Cal Fire engines here all around us that we see. I should tell you, we are again on Keller Avenue. Coming over here, we were driving along Skyline, and before Skyline, time we were on campus. We drove past Merritt College. At that area, we saw lots of roadblocks, and we were told to turn around. Lots of people leaving that area as well. And again, you can see all these people here right now this afternoon making U-turns, being told to leave the area. I spoke to one man who parked his car several blocks away, walked here on foot, and said he was going to walk home to make sure that his daughter was okay. His daughter, a young girl who'd just been dropped off from school, he's checking to see if she's still there or if she perhaps has gotten with a relative. So that's the very latest from here. We'll send it right back to you. I think I unplugged my IFB, so let me plug myself right back in.
Very much. We'll check back with you in a little bit, but we just want to let you know, if you're just joining us, we're not taking world news tonight with David Muir right now. That's when it would normally be seen, because we have been following this breaking news story out of the Oakland Hills, where there is a grass fire, brush fire called the Keller Fire that's now spread to over 10 acres with possibly 7 homes already destroyed on this very, very high-risk day in terms of fire. So we've been staying on the air, showing you all the firefighting from the official agencies that are dropping water, that are dousing water and retardant, to the folks that Suzanne Fawn was showing us who are just homeowners putting water on their own roofs to try to save their own homes. We're covering this for you from every angle.
And you're seeing on the left side of your screen the live video from Sky 7. Our helicopter has been up over the scene for definitely 2 hours now. And on the right side, you're seeing the view from the ground, and you see the air help that has showed up to try to get this fire out.
Real quickly, an additional zone has just been added to the evacuation area, and that is south of the original area, and that will be E204. So folks, if you're in that area, as you can see, that is the area south of Keller. So just east of Mountain Boulevard, south of Keller, that whole section, E204, you are also now being told to get out right now. All right, we want to bring in from the California Highway Patrol, which has been working the scene, Sergeant Andrew Barclay. Sergeant Barclay, are you with us? Sergeant Andrew Barclay from the California CHP, are you with us right now?
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us. Give us a sense for what the CHP is doing right now. I mean, we assume it's the city police officers handling the evacuations, but perhaps you're helping. But certainly I know you're trying to deal with the situation on 580 right now, which the fire burned right up to. So give us the grand scope.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing really we're reporting right now is just the closures that we've seen on 580. I'm happy to say that we've been able to reopen 2 lanes, so we are starting to get traffic through that was backed up pretty far. So that will continue. The biggest thing to remember right now is that law enforcement is here to support fire. Ultimately, we are all working for the same thing, which is the safety of the public. So, just want to reiterate to people, listen to the directions that are being provided by law enforcement and fire personnel. I know this is adding to traffic on the main freeways here, but ultimately our hope is to be able to get those that do need to evacuate out and keep everyone else in the area safe.
And Sergeant Barclay, it looks like from the video that we've seen, there have been no traffic backups or jams of people trying to get out of these neighborhoods. Would you agree with that? So far, things have gone fairly smoothly, or as smoothly as they can in this situation?
Yeah, and just I'm seeing what you're seeing, and I would have to say that, sadly, a lot of this comes out of a lot of experience over the last few years, learning how to be more efficient in evacuations, designating zones, things like that, so you don't have this mass exodus of people all at once. And that's exactly why that's there, is to keep those roads open and get people who need to get out immediately out of the path of danger.
And no doubt this is a lesson learned from the Oakland Hills fire in 1991 and, of course, the Camp Fire. But Sergeant Barclay, can I just ask you, I want to confirm that you're now saying that westbound 580, which was totally closed in that section a while ago, now 2 lanes are open, so half of them, and you don't think there's further danger or further possibility of reclosure? Or do you think now, as we start to get into the heart of the afternoon commute, it is a safe route for people to use at this point?
Well, I would still suggest recommending avoiding the area. As you mentioned, half of the lanes are open. So we have the 2 left lanes that are open. The right 2 lanes at that location are actually blocked by fire apparatus, some fairly large equipment. So, right now I would say we are continuing to evaluate. I think, as you've reported, we're watching
All right.
Unfortunately, I feel like we just lost the phone interview with Andrew Barkley with the California Highway Patrol. Sergeant Barkley, are you there? I think we just lost you for a moment.
All right, I think he's gone, but we do have our reporter, Ansar Hassan, who has been at the scene now gathering information. So in just a second, we want to go to him and see what has changed in the past 20 minutes or so in terms of the firefight right there where he was around campus. Hey, Ansar.
Stopped spraying the home. They'd been spraying the home for about an hour or so. I have confirmed with the Oakland Fire Department that 7 homes have been impacted, this being one of them. We have seen several airdrops dropping not just fire retardant, but also water. Oakland Fire Department say their big concern right now is this wind, which is forcing this fire up the hill. They've issued mandatory evacuations for the homes that are on the ridge. Maybe you can see from the shot here, the fire burning behind those trees, and the fear is, and the goal is to keep it from reaching the homes that are on the top of the hill. We spoke to Mr. Smith, who lives up there. He says he was out shopping when he got an alert that he couldn't go back home. Here's what he had to say a short while ago.
Scary. You certainly don't want anyone's home to burn. Certainly don't want your own home to burn. It is scary, and you hope that those who are attending to this fire can get it out very quickly and not have it spread any further, damage any other property.
Yeah, I know a lot's going on today. Oakland fire officials say about 100 firefighters are on the front line trying to get this fire under control. I was told one of the strategies is to form a perimeter around the fire and work towards the center. You can see this is one of the homes that has been damaged. From this vantage point, I can't see any others, at least in this immediate neighborhood, but we know that 6 others have been impacted. That's the very latest. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
All right, Ansar, thank you so very much for that latest report and the updated information. We'll let you go so you can gather more information. Meantime, we want to let you know, folks, that Merritt College, which is in the Oakland Hills, not too far away from where this is all happening, maybe a mile away, has closed its campus for the day and canceled in-person classes until further notice as a precautionary measure. We're not seeing anything yet from the Oakland Zoo, but it too is only about a mile away.
Right, about 1.5 miles, I believe. But as this fire continues to spread and with the flames that we're seeing here, we will be getting updates by the minute of any other big closures, and we of course will pass that along to you quickly as we watch on the left side of your screen one of the helicopters that is there to help. And I do just want to let you know quickly that there is an evacuation center that is Burkhalter Elementary School, that's at 3994 Burkhalter Avenue. And at this point, the evacuation zones, those have expanded. So just so you know, and everybody is aware, the fire has grown. The evacuation zones have expanded to now 3, I believe, for mandatory evacuations, if we can pull up that map, and several others that are just being told to keep a close eye on it and just watch. You may be evacuated.
All right, in the meantime, I believe we have a spokesperson joining us from Alameda County Fire on the line. And I apologize, I don't have your name. Showhurt? Cheryl. Oh,
it's Cheryl.
Cheryl, it's you, Cheryl. It's so good to talk to you. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances. You can tell us what is happening there right now in terms of your agency and the involvement.
Well, as you can see, it is all hands on deck with this situation here. And I'm getting some feedback on the phone right now. I don't know if you can do anything about that. But in any case, Oakland Fire is the lead agency on this. We are a part of a task force that I'm going to take you off my ear here. I don't know why I'm getting that feedback. I apologize. But
that's fine.
We are a part of a task force where Fremont Fire is the incident command, but we are a part of it. So Alameda County Fire Department did a pre-position, and you guys were there. ABC 7 was there. on hand for that pre-position yesterday, and we went out early this morning, and we were in various locations. Alameda County Fire was called in. The agencies involved in the pre-position, you may know, is Fremont Fire, who's the lead agency, Hayward Fire, City of Alameda, Oakland Fire, and us. Now, the pre-position crews got called in today to assist in this fire, and we're on scene. We have about 25 bodies out there, along with our hand crew. Our hand crew is called Crew 8. Crew 8 are not firefighters, but they're very instrumental in making sure that the fire does not spread. I'm watching along with everyone else, and I'm looking at the flames, and I'm looking at the fire in these hills, and it's a scary situation. Being a former reporter, covered many of these fires, and to have a fire in that particular location is very scary. So we are a part of a larger group there. We are also dedicating 8 other units to that, and they're going to come out in various locations, whether they're battalion chiefs or fire engines or fire trucks. Not quite sure what it's going to be, but we're definitely helping out in this fire, and we're all crossing our fingers that we can get some containment soon.
Cheryl, this is Karina Nova talking, and can you talk us through what the firefighters, what the priorities are, and what they're doing on the scene right now? Your department and others, how are they working hand in hand to tackle a fire like this that continues to spread? Can you kind of walk us through that process?
Well, it started when we found out that it was a red flag warning. So that's the pre-position situation. So we've already planned for this, and I've heard other officials say that. So we did a pre-planning on this, and the agencies that I just mentioned to you got together and already planned for something like this, hoping that it wouldn't happen. But of course, it did happen. We work hand in hand with the Weather Service to see, what type of winds are going to be coming through, how fast they're going to be going. They are talking to one another. Oakland Fire firefighters are working hand in hand with Alameda County Fire and Fremont Fire. So they're all on the same radio TAC system. They're talking to one another. They're letting each other know where they are in fighting this fire. They're also working hand in hand with CAL FIRE, making sure that the airdrops are going to the right places. I'm sure that they're working with drones to make sure that they know where to drop the retardant in the situation. So, I mean, it's a delicate dance, but everyone is working together to make sure that they can get a handle of this fire.
Cheryl, did you cover the 1991 Oakland Hills fire?
I did and I didn't. It's really a situation. I was working in Detroit at the time, and I happened to be on vacation. So I kind of worked on the fire, kind of hands off, but hands on, if you will. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And of course, for any of us who were part of that coverage, it's just, it's traumatic, right? It's post-traumatic stress almost. So hopefully today's situation will be much more contained. I know a lot of lessons have been learned and precautions taken. So we do appreciate. Oh, before I let you go, maybe you can translate this for me. I may be the only person who doesn't know what this means, but I'm seeing from official channels that air attack is lifting the no divert status on the 4 air tankers. What does that mean? Do you know?
Ooh, above my pay grade.
All right.
I don't
See,
know
this is why we're
means.
reporters. We try to ask the folks who know. But Cheryl, you've been a wealth of information. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's good talking with you.
Okay, you're welcome.
And we do have some updates for you as we're getting this new information from Oakland Fire. There are now 4 zones under evacuation orders: E204, E177, E203, E176, 2 others under evacuation warnings. So there's the map there. You can see the 4 in red that are evacuated So hopefully all those people got out of their homes safely. There are at least 10 structures that are impacted now, and those evacuation orders are in place for more than 200 homes in that area. So this is all of the latest information that we're getting as we continue to cover this breaking news fire. A fire that's been burning for, Kristen, I think shortly after 1 o'clock it started for several hours, and they say they're going to be there for probably another several hours.
Or longer.
Right.
Honestly, this could be an all-night situation because at night, right, when the winds die down, they can make more progress and really try to keep things contained. But yes, you made a good point, and that's the new information just in that this fire has now consumed 10 structures. 10 structures, that's been raised from 7. And we're still not hearing of any injuries, so that is the good news. By the way, you were looking at that evacuation zone with the red and the orange, right? Red meaning go, orange meaning get set to go. You should know, and this is from the official channel, that those fire maps indicate the general burn area, but they do not detail the measures being taken to protect structures and homes. So even if a structure or home is within the marked fire perimeter, it doesn't necessarily mean it's been damaged or destroyed. But basically, measures to try to minimize the risk, putting fire on roofs, all that could be happening outside of those red and orange zones right now. So the actual area being impacted right now in the Oakland Hills could be much greater than just those zones that you're seeing from Oakland for the evacuation area. So this is still very fluid, and the flames are climbing uphill. And for people who handle or pay attention to fire science, that's always a question. And Sandia, good thing, understands why that is, the physics of it, and why in these fires they tend to climb uphill and burn that way. Sandia?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, Kristen, fires create their own weather conditions. So when you get intense fires burning, they're very erratic in behavior. The winds could really veer those fires uphill. We obviously have seen this happen. You're looking at live pictures from Sky 7 right now of the crews working on trying to get this fire under control. Here is a live view from our Sutro Tower camera, and now you can see that the smoke is blowing straight up. We still have gusty winds, but the winds have backed off just a little bit in some areas. So right now it is a sustained wind out of the north, 5 miles an hour. Relative humidity is still low. It's 11%. That's how bone dry it is. Gusts to 13 miles an hour, and the gusty winds are going to continue. We are expecting another round of those winds late tonight going into tomorrow morning. In the Oakland Hills right now, we have 19-mile-an-hour wind gusts. You will notice Mount Diablo is 22. In the last 24 hours, some of the peak wind gusts have been Los Vaqueros 48, Oakland Hills 40 miles an hour. Mount St. Helena was 75, Rose Peak 49 miles an hour. At the lower elevations, it's not as windy right now. We went through our first round of peak winds between last night and early this morning, but this is what is dangerous. Look at the humidity inland. It's in the single digits. I mean, when you're down to, 5% in Concord and 7% in Livermore, this is very concerning. Northeasterly winds will remain gusty through the nighttime hours into tomorrow. Red flag warning covering virtually all of the Bay Area except for some coastal spots up in the North Bay. This red flag warning is until 5 p.m. tomorrow with the humidity down to 8%. That model was showing even lower humidity, obviously, but fires can grow quickly. The bottom line is the vegetation is at critically dry levels. You combine it with gusty winds and a dry air mass, and this just spells danger. Wind advisory for the East Bay Valleys and East Bay Hills, along with the eastern Santa Clara Hills until 11 p.m. tonight, but that wind advisory is going for the North Bay Hills until 8 a.m. tomorrow. So gusts up to 50 miles an hour is still possible. You're looking from Sky 7 at that smoke is just going sideways now again. A possibility of power outages and downed tree limbs. So when we look at the winds, this is taking you hour by hour. It is going to remain gusty, no doubt about it, coming out of the north later on tonight and picking up at 9 p.m. You will notice those winds remaining gusty through the night, over 30 miles an hour in Calistoga into tomorrow morning. That second round of gusty winds. Hopefully the crews can get this fire in the Oakland Hills, the Keller fire, under control, because if they can't, and then they're going to be battling the winds once again, and stronger winds than what we're experiencing right now. So the winds remain gusty through tomorrow morning, lightening up a bit in the afternoon, but the fire danger does remain high, not just this afternoon and evening, but you will notice high to very high in some of our East Bay and North Bay hills, along with the Santa Cruz Mountains going into tomorrow morning. Around 6 a.m., still that fire danger is there. Once again, that's a live picture from Sutro Tower of that Keller fire burning in the Oakland Hills. Some of the most destructive and damaging fires have happened in October. Historically speaking, this is the peak of our fire season. It's all of the wrong combinations that we're seeing. You have months of dry weather, typically in the summer, with that hot, dry weather, sometimes drying out the fuels. Now you combine it with gusty northeasterly winds that dries out the air mass even more. Humidity levels are very low, and you've got all the wrong combinations with the wind, the low humidity, and the time of year with the critically dry fuels for this to occur. So very dangerous situation. October is a time you don't mess around, and that's why there are so many crews responding to this one. Hopefully they can get this under control before it continues to grow. We've already seen it spread, obviously, and grow. Karina, Kristen.
And Sandia, thank you so much. I want to update our folks that have been watching us here. We've been on the air for over an hour now, and this fire is now a 5-alarm fire, impacting hundreds of homes in this area, and evacuation orders are in place for 4 zones to have warnings. So if you live near this area, please take a look and follow those orders and just be on the lookout as this fire continues to spread. And we've been watching the live pictures on the left side of the screen there of some of the helicopters that are sucking up water from nearby bodies of water, and they're able to do that very quickly, so they have that help from the air and on the ground as well. And that's where our reporter Ansar Hassan has been with any updates. So Ansar, what's the very latest? What are you hearing?
Hey guys, yeah, I just spoke with Oakland Fire Department. They say this is now a 5-alarm fire. They say anywhere between 7 and 10 structures, homes have been burned, but at this point they aren't able to confirm. Again, 7 to 10 structures impacted. This home that you see right here along 580 westbound is one of them. You can see that the 580 was closed off earlier. Now it looks like all lanes of traffic are open. The fire was burning right up against the freeway. That fire was put out about an hour or so ago. You can see firefighters are still in this neighborhood monitoring this home and the homes next to it to make sure that all the embers and fires are out. I spoke with Oakland Fire. They said as for containment, they're not focused on that right now. The goal is to put a perimeter around this fire and to zone in onto it. We don't know how big the fire's gotten, but Oakland Fire officials say it's gotten to over 10 acres now. Earlier, we spoke to a resident who lives in the area that's been evacuated. He knows the family that lives in this home that's been impacted. Here's what he had to say.
Because I know that this company, there's just not a friend. They provide so much community service for people that in need. They've probably been on TV stations because of the services they've done, but the services they provide. And just to see their house being destroyed, I know it's a big impact on them. It will probably impact the services that they're able to give to other people. So it's sad. It hurts. It's tough when you see good people.
Oakland Fire officials saying about 100 firefighters are on this fire. Again, the fire now a 5-alarm fire, somewhere between 7 and 10 homes impacted. That's the very latest. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
All right, Ansar, thank you so much. You hate to hear it, that there are more homes now and greater acreage involved, but that is what's happening right here. And we were just seeing some of these planes, the CAL FIRE planes that have been going to the, we presume, the nearby reservoir. We don't know for a fact, but we think Upper San Leandro Reservoir is super close right there, a big body of water. They've been picking up water from a big body of water and dropping them on the homes, on the brush, on that entire area. This has been going on. I think it's interesting to take a look at the power situation as a result of the fire. So if we have the PG&E outage map available on your right. Take a look. This is interesting. Orange is the area that's being evacuated because of the fire where it's burning. So PG&E has shut off area to that area. This is an unplanned outage due to the fire. And orange means 500 to 5,000 homes affected, which makes sense. But look at the purple right next to it, just east of it. And that is the planned outage, the PSPS, the program where they shut you down when they expect to have high winds, and this is a high fire danger area, and they don't want the power lines to come down and get sparked when it's energized. So they turned those folks off already, and you can see where the fire actually broke out is just west of that.
Right, so that map shows that information, and let's go ahead and pull up the map of the evacuation orders that are in place, so you are aware, because this continues to grow, and now it's up to 4 zones, the ones you see in red, and the ones that are farther north, those are the warnings. Those people are just on alert to possibly have to evacuate, but the evacuation zones have grown since we've been on the air. More than 100 firefighters from Oakland and other departments on scene there. CAL FIRE is there as well. They have a helicopter, an airplane dropping retardant, and they're suctioning up water. They can suction hundreds of gallons, if not thousands, depending on which air equipment they're using, from nearby lakes and reservoirs, and then within minutes suctioning it up, dropping it on the ground there that you can see is very dry, which has contributed to these conditions and this fire to spread. So a lot going on here, a lot of departments, a lot of firefighters on scene trying as quickly as possible to get this fire from spreading to these neighborhoods. A lot of families impacted here.
And by the way, we just got this word in as well, more closures because of this fire. The Leona Canyon and Anthony Chabot Regional Parks have now been closed out of precaution. They are very close to where the fire zones are right now. And they just put this out a minute ago that Leona Canyon and Anthony Chabot Regional Parks have closed. This is at 580 and Keller nearby. And so the park staff, they are right now evacuating visitors, and police and fire are working with Oakland Fire and CAL FIRE to contain this fire. So they're asking the park visitors to get out. We mentioned that this is a popular recreational area, but a lot of those parks like Grizzly Peak, the really high ones, they already closed out of precaution even last night. So now we have confirmation of Leona Canyon and Anthony Chabot Regional Parks being closed. And we talked about how a lot of the businesses were either closing voluntarily out of an abundance of caution, such as that Sequoia Country Club. They were also evacuating their guests, along with a preschool in that area. Merritt College has closed for the day.
That's right.
So all of those places being impacted. The impact is to tens of thousands of people right now.
Yeah, that preschool, Skyline Preschool, they evacuated as a precaution. So it's good to keep those kids safe and just go home, because a lot of their families do live in this area. So they're taking the kids out as a precaution. Also want to give you the evacuation location for anyone that is impacted. Let me see if I can get that pulled up for you here, because that is where they're telling people to go if they are evacuating. It is, here we go, Kristen, let me see, here we go, Burkhalter Elementary School. That's at 3994 Burkhalter Avenue. That is an evacuation center that they have set up.
It's one of the schools in the Oakland Unified School District and a little bit farther away from the scene.
And we just got an update from Oakland Fire. They just put this out on X. A forward progress has been stopped for this 5-alarm fire, with multiple agencies from several counties assisting. The fast-moving fire reached 13 acres, and as of now, less than 10 structures impacted by fire activity. That was just put out just a moment ago by Oakland Fire. So some good news there, that forward progress has been stopped, and they've been working hard here for a while, Kristen.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, good catch. That just came out on X. Maybe we can put that up even for folks so they can see that Oakland Fire Department did, in fact, just tweet and put out the posted the message that forward progress has been stopped for this 5th alarm fire. So if it reaches, if this is where it stops, so far we're talking about 7 to 10 structures burned or impacted. We're talking about 13 acres is what the latest fire department information is. But thankfully, we're also talking about no one injured in this fire that's been consuming the area for close to 3 hours now in the Oakland Hills, just one day before the anniversary of the very devastating Oakland Hills fire that destroyed 3,000 homes, resulted in a couple dozen deaths and so many injuries, and really a rethinking of wildland residential interface and how people live in hills where there's a lot of fire risk and lots of trees and vegetation, and the rebuilding all had that in mind to minimize the chances of another devastating fire happening. All right. We are going to just take a short break right now. Are we going to do that?
No, we'll continue.
Okay. All right.
All right.
From ABC 7, live breaking news.
All right, we're back with breaking news, continuing coverage of the fire burning right now in Oakland. It began around 1:30 this afternoon. The Oakland Fire Department says approximately 13 roughly acres have burned near Keller Avenue and Mountain Boulevard, just to the east of 580. There have been as many as 100 firefighters, but about 60 firefighters or so battling the flames. At least 7 to 10 homes have been affected by this. It's been going on for the last couple of hours, and I can tell you, Kristen, as I've watched you and Karina do just outstanding coverage the last couple of hours, I've noticed the smoke has slowed, the flame activity has slowed, and you guys just reported that they say forward progress has been stopped on this fire. So quick work, even though the several homes have been damaged, have resulted in fairly positive outcomes so far. Of course, there's still concern. The wind is still high. Embers are in the air. And we remember, of course, the Oakland Hills firestorm. It was essentially out, and then it flared up again the next morning. So when the winds are blowing like this, of course, embers have been blowing in the air for a couple of hours. So they're going to be quite concerned and quite cautious for some time to make sure that there are no more issues, even as they begin to get a real handle on this fire and control the forward progress.
And as you said, I mean, that was a 2-day event in 1991. And in terms of our conditions and wind situation right now, you know, it'll quiet down some overnight. But as Sandy had told us, you know, we're not out of the woods even for tomorrow. So this is still a very dangerous period. However, as you mentioned, the Oakland Fire Department just put out word that forward progress has been stopped for now in this 5th alarm fire that's been going on most of this afternoon, causing evacuations to about 200 homes up in the Oakland Hills, up in that Mountain and Keller Boulevard area, which at one point caused them to close 580. But right now, at this point, it seems to be back open and flowing smoothly.
Yeah, and for a time there, as you guys have been reporting, Kristen, the flames were right down on the edge, really, of 580. To the east of the highway is where the fire was burning, and up into the hills, approaching Sequoia Country Club, the Oakland Zoo, not far from that area, just to kind of orient you to the general area we're talking about around Keller Avenue. But fairly quickly, they got some air support in there, fixed wing tankers dumping, fixed wing planes dumping fire retardant, these helicopters dipping from a nearby water source. And there we go, as you watch now live from Sky 7, more water being dumped by this helicopter onto the fire. And that certainly, they have ground crews on the ground making a real difference, but certainly the battle from the air when the terrain is difficult, as it is here with the hills, the battle from the air is absolutely critical that they can get that onto the fire as quickly as possible. And, you know, as you continue to watch our live coverage, split screen here, you can see from Sky 7 and on the ground. Just about half an hour ago and prior to that, the smoke was much heavier, much thicker, much darker, and you could see flames, which we're not seeing to the extent at all we did just a little while ago. So the good news is they say forward progress has been stopped, and they have done some pretty good work here, even though a number of homes, maybe as many as 10, have been damaged. We're not sure to what extent, but clearly some people have been really affected by this, and there are a lot of evacuations. With any luck, those folks will be able to get back in at some point tonight.
Let's see if we can get the firefighters a little luck from the weather. The winds have been fast. Let's check in with meteorologist Sandy Patel.
Yeah, Kristen and Dan, let's take a look at a live picture. As Dan just mentioned, Oakland Fire is saying forward progress has been stopped. This is a good thing, because conditions are not favorable right now. Let me show you a live picture from our Sutro Tower camera. As you will notice that the smoke is kind of dampening down, but that fire is still burning. And I am taking a look at some of the observations in the area. The fuel moisture is at 7%, giving you an indication. Fuel temperature is 70. It is very dry. It is 71 degrees right now, relative humidity of 11%. This is what's concerning, along with the critically dry fuels. That wind direction coming out of the northeast is a downsloping wind. When it moves down the hills and towards the ocean eventually, it dries out the atmosphere even more. So even though the winds are not strong, they're now gusting to 9. It is the fact that we do have dry fuels combining with the gusty winds and a dry air mass that is concerning. Wind gusts, as we go hour by hour, it will remain gusty at 5 o'clock. Winds do kind of back off a little bit in the few hours following, and then they will pick up again overnight tonight going into tomorrow morning. So it is very important, obviously, that these crews that are working so tirelessly out there get this fire under control quickly before that next round of gusty winds arrive. Right now, as we take a look at the winds, Oakland Hills, 19 miles an hour, 23 Mount Diablo at the lower elevations, not as strong, not as gusty. We're still looking at Sky 7 battling that Keller fire in the Oakland Hills right now, where it is just bone dry. Relative humidity values around parts of the Bay Area inland in the single digits, down to 8% in Livermore. Red flag warning is still going for just about all of the Bay Area until 5 p.m. tomorrow. The only exception is Sonoma, Marin County coast. So it's a combination of those dry northeasterly winds, what we call an offshore flow, the Diablo winds gusting to 40 miles an hour, relative humidity 8%. We just saw this happen in the East Bay Hills. It is still a possibility with any fires that break out. Fires can grow quickly, not just in size and intensity, but spread rapidly. So the conditions are really critical right now. Wind advisory going for the East Bay Hills, East Bay Valleys, North Bay Hills. Gusts to 50 miles an hour out of the north, possibility of downed tree limbs and a few outages. As we look at the hourly winds, 5 o'clock this evening, it is still going to be gusty, not nearly as strong as the overnight hours and into this morning. We had peak wind gusts, Mount St. Helena, 75 miles an hour, Los Vaqueros in the East Bay, 48, Rose Peak, 49, Oakland Hills, 40. We've seen some 50-mile-an-hour gusts in the East Bay Hills. So this is obviously concerning. That next round of wind starts to ramp up. You will notice it's 27 Fairfield, 22 Napa at 9 p.m. This is the wind direction coming out of the north that is going to come down the land and really continue to dry the atmosphere. So 25 miles an hour at midnight, 25, 30, even 32 miles in Calistoga. You'll notice Oakland is at 20 going into the morning hours. The winds through 7 a.m. will remain gusty. And the fire danger, high to very high, indicated by the yellows and the oranges in our hills where it is just tinder dry. We continue to see the fire danger going up at 12:55 in the morning when the winds ramp up again and those gusty winds continue into the morning hours. So a very dicey situation. Live view one more time from our Sutro camera and on the left from our crews that are out near the Keller fire in the Oakland Hills. It is very critical that they get this under control, not just stopping the forward progress, because these conditions are not good. Right, it is just ripe for fires to grow in intensity and size, as we have just seen this afternoon with that Oakland Hills fire.
Yeah.
Dan and Kristen.
You know, the good news, thanks, Sandy, the good news is maybe the winds have died down at least for a few moments to give them a chance to, as we said, stop the forward progress. So that's at least been helpful, and I know they're going to pick back up again later, but this has at least been a bit of good luck here that they died down to the extent that they did.
Yeah, but you know, the other thing to consider, though, Deanna, is the winds dying down. I mean, you know, earlier this morning it was super chilly and people kind of let their guards down thinking, God, it's cold. You associate hot weather with fires. Not necessarily, because when you see that the vegetation is so dry and those humidity values are in the single digits to, you know, 11%, This is what is concerning. So, you know, there are three factors to consider. It's humidity, winds, and dry fuels. But as you mentioned, the winds coming down a little bit, certainly helpful to the crews out there.
Thanks, Sandy.
All right, in the meantime, let's get to Ansar Hassan, who's been out on the scene for us for the past couple of hours with a new update. Ansar.
Yeah, Kristen, and again, good evening. I just spoke with Oakland fire officials. They say this is now a 5-alarm fire. The homes that were evacuated, the areas that evacuated, fire crews are now going through to see if it's safe for residents to return home. Still no word as to whether they can, but they're checking. Also, we are being told that 7 to 10 homes have been impacted. One of them is this home that we showed you across the street from 580 westbound. Earlier today, this entire hill front was on fire. You can see that fire has been put out. Fire officials had been working to douse that home. They've stopped that as well, and traffic is now moving through both east and westbound 580. If you look up into the hills, that's where the firefight has been focused on. You're seeing a lot of airdrops, fire retardant, and water. That's had a big impact. Oakland fire officials that I spoke with said that was a big thing that they were waiting for, and that airdrops been going on for about 2 hours. Further up the hill, that's the ridge, that's the area where evacuation orders were underway. It might be hard to see, but there's some fire crews along the ridge keeping an eye on those homes and the fires down below. Fire officials tell me that about 100 firefighters are now on this fire, trying to battle it, putting it out. The goal to put a perimeter around the fire and work inwards. Reporting live, Ansar Hassan, ABC 7 News.
Ansar, you were saying something, and I missed this. There was a little technical issue, but what were you saying about the neighborhoods that were closed, that they had evacuated? I missed the latter part, and I think this is important, both for me and for our viewers.
Sure. So fire officials are telling us that fire crews are now going through those areas that were under mandatory evacuation to see if it's safe for people to go back home. We don't have any word yet if they can, but that's what they're working on right now. It's hard to see from where we're at, but there's a lot of people in this area who are trying to get back to their homes. All the roads are blocked. They can't. So there's a lot of people who are waiting for word as to what comes next.
Got it. All right, Ansar, great update. Thank you so much for the information.
And as you look now at the to the left, of course, you see live Sky 7 pictures of the smoke and the effort to continue to put out the flames, and the helicopter there flying above, dropping water on those flames. On the right side of your screen, the evacuation map, these sections of the area east of 580 on the Keller Avenue side, and this Keller fire, as it's being called, the light red are the areas where people have been told to evacuate right away and get out. They should have been already out of their homes. The 2 yellow zones are areas where people are told be prepared to evacuate.
All right. Right now, Oakland's mayor and fire chief, presumably the officials monitoring this closely, will soon start a news conference. We do have a camera there. We are ready to bring you the latest as they give us the first real news conference on this information. And there's Mayor Tao. So we are going to take that just as soon as she starts speaking about the Keller fire, which last we understand burned about 13 acres, maybe 7 to 10 homes, but fortunately stopped the forward progress of the flames before anyone was injured after this massive firefighting effort that involved many, many agencies.
Yeah, about 100 firefighters, fixed-wing aircraft, as well as helicopters brought in to fight these flames. And that's what the mayor and the fire chief are staring at right now, the helicopter dropping water. You can see from their vantage point just how close they are to this area where the firefight is ongoing. Let's listen. I believe they're going to start speaking to the media now.
Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Shang Tao. Today we are here in regards to a 4-alarm fire. Do you want to go ahead and sure. Thank you. First and foremost, I just want to thank Oakland Fire Department for responding to this call quickly. Their quick action really helped save infrastructure and save lives. With that being said, Chief Covington is here to give you more details about the status currently right now. We'll wait till that passes. But this is a real stark reminder that everyone should sign up for AC Alert. AC Alert is an Alameda County alert system. When emergencies such as evacuations, earthquakes, or any sort of other disasters happen, we do alert our constituents via AC Alert. Again, go to acalert.org and sign up so that you can get any alerts in regards to the immediacy of your safety where you live and where you play. And so, again, that's for all of Alameda County. I want for Oakland residents to know that this is a reminder to please keep your area, that there needs to be defensible space so that if there is a wildfire, that your home and your infrastructure is protected. Again, if you are being evacuated, that you should leave immediately. You're only being asked to be evacuated, it's because we're trying to protect the health of our citizens. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Covington so he can explain where we're at currently. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Approximately 1:30 this afternoon, we got calls for a fire in front of a home. When we arrived on scene, it was a wind-driven fire. Wind was whipping. This is a red flag day. We had heavy damage to a structure on Mountain Boulevard. The wind had jumped to the other side of the street on Mountain and started getting some eucalyptus going, and it also auto-generated behind the home and got into a grove of eucalyptus. It quickly went from a second to a third to a fourth to now a fifth alarm fire. If it wasn't for the quick response of our entire region, we have fire departments here from throughout our region, as far as Marin and San Francisco, as well as CAL FIRE, Air Resources. It really has been a collective effort to get this fire under control. Right now, we've stopped the forward progress of the fire. We still have a lot of work to do to mop up, but we are in a lot better shape than we were 2 hours ago. So we have less than 10 homes that have been damaged, and we had hundreds of homes that were structures that were threatened. So it was more of an evacuation of precaution because of the eucalyptus grove, because of the wind blowing, because of a red flag day. The fire was fast moving, and before we could get in front of it, we had to make evacuations. No, this started right behind us on Mountain Boulevard in that home that's laddered right there on the front. Yeah.
Can you describe the area that the fire burned? Is it mostly non-private area or is it common?
So right now we're at 13 acres. The fire has spread 13 acres. Because it's a wind-driven fire, it's burned in multiple directions. That's why we've had to do evacuations in various areas, because the fire was fast moving in those areas. Heroic work by our firefighters really throughout our region, not just Oakland Fire. They did a fantastic job, but the rest of the region getting here so quickly, Air Resources getting here. If Air Resources don't get here as quickly as they did, we might have a different report right now.
Do we know how the fire started?
It's still under investigation. On a red flag day with the wind as moving as quickly as it could, it could have been something as small as a cigarette.
What about the location of where it started? Can you share that?
Yeah, this home that's laddered right behind us, in the front of the home. Yeah.
Was there anybody inside?
There was someone at home asleep. He heard an explosion, which was his front window exploding, and was able to get out of the house. We've had no injuries to firefighters or civilians at this time.
Mayor, are you happy with the way things turned out today, considering the circumstances?
Absolutely. You know, just like the chief stated, it's not only OFD, it's a whole regional effort. And so with that being said, because of the quick response, we are very, we're happy about the results that we're seeing. Obviously, we lost one structure. But, at the end of the day, we were able to save so many people's lives. We know that it is a windy day today, so it could have wound up to be something actually more horrible than what we see today. Again, remember the firestorm in 1991 up here in the Oakland Hills. We have to be ready for that. So please sign up for AC Alert. Please understand what your protocols are, what your plans are for an escape. You should have multiple escape routes depending on which direction the fire is going.
One last question, Chief. I know in Berkeley they're recommending that people who live up in the Berkeley Hills, because it's supposed to be so windy tonight through tomorrow, just kind of evacuate as a precaution. Anything like that here in Oakland?
No, we're not recommending evacuations, but we are recommending staying out of areas like Grizzly Peak, areas that are very high vegetation, small things can lead to big fires, especially when the wind is whipping the way it is today. We've gone from very calm winds like this to 40-hour winds just in the time that we've been on scene. So we're just asking everyone to be a little extra diligent with their precautions, and let's get through this red flag alert and we can get back to living our normal lives.
Chief, just one clarifying question. Before you said there was 10 damaged structures?
Yes.
One was completely lost?
No loss. No structure was lost, but there were several damaged. Yeah, we didn't lose any structures outright.
What would we call this neighborhood or area? Like the Ohio Hills or something? Just because my reporter was wondering.
Yeah, it's Keller. You know, I would call it is in District 6. It's in District 6, the council member district, and also this is the Keller Mountain Boulevard area.
Chief, I just got here and I apologize. If you wouldn't mind giving us a summary from the top about the origin of the fire and the number of structures damaged.
So the origin of the fire is right behind us at the home, the ladder, just on the corner there. We don't know what started the fire. We do know that it was a wind-driven fire and it took off very quickly, got into the eucalyptus and ran the hill. Structures were threatened. Some structures in multiple areas were damaged. None were lost. But we did have to evacuate over 500 Oakland residents.
500. So no loss, 10 damaged.
At least, yeah.
Injuries?
No injuries. The firefighters are good.
The 580 was shut down for a while. Is it still shut down? Do we know if that's open yet?
It's reopened now. It was shut down because we had multiple resources on the freeway. We did have a small fire that jumped from this side of the freeway to the opposite side of the freeway. We were able to get a couple of units on it and get it out quickly.
So, Chief, what's the status right now? You are evacuating more people, the same, different?
No, we've stopped the forward progress of the fire. We are not evacuating any more residents. We are asking residents that we did evacuate to stay out of the area for a while so we can check to make sure the structures are safe to re-enter.
So around 500 evacuated people?
Correct.
Okay, so now you are not going to expand that further. Everything is under control?
No, the fire is we're still working. The fire is not yet under control, but we have stopped the forward progress of the fire. So we're fairly sure that we'll be able to get it under control within the next hour or so.
Many people are very nervous of tonight, of the winds, that this could be get out of control. What is your message right now to them? I mean, are they going to be able to sleep tonight?
As last night was very impactful. The wind was very impactful last night too. We're asking people to, like the mayor said, go to AC alerts. We're pushing out alerts throughout the evening, letting everyone know where the impacted areas are, and we're asking people to just be diligent with their behavior and not do anything that could spark a fire.
So where did the fire start?
Correct, right behind us.
It
Where
was
the apparatus
in a house?
down.
It was
Outside.
outside a house,
Yes.
in a brush?
It's still under investigation.
Okay.
Thanks, folks. The sound is bad, so let's do one-on-ones.
Yeah, 2 one-on-ones to get the sound better.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief, if I can, and I apologize.
All right,
if you are.
that's an update from Chief Damon Covington of the Oakland Fire Department and, of course, Mayor Sheng Tao. We heard a couple of interesting things. First, they evacuated a total of 500 residents in homes in the area of this Keller fire. Second, no homes were lost in all of this. That's the good news. Several were damaged, but no homes were completely destroyed by fire. And of course, the chief mentioned that the winds had died down. That helped, but they have fluctuated dramatically since the time that they have been on scene. And he urges everyone, not just in around this fire, of course, but around the Bay Area, to be mindful of these fire conditions in this red flag alert period over the next 24 hours or so. Maybe a little longer than that, and just be mindful that something like this can happen very quickly. As the chief said, they're not sure what caused this fire. Somebody heard some kind of an explosion, and then the flames broke out, but he said it could have been something as simple as a cigarette, and that's how quickly things can change.
And you heard him say right now they're going to the homes, the evacuated area, to see if they are safe for people to return. And a lot of the folks may be at the evacuation center at Burkhalter School that was set up. So let's go to our reporter there, Suzanne Fond, who is checking out the scene there. And a lot of people are no doubt very worried about the status of their homes, even though we know that, none have been a total loss.
Kristen, Dan, we are at Keller and Greenridge. Again, the fire chief just said that the forward progress of the fire has been stopped, but let's give you a little bit of a closer look at the hillside there. That area is charred, it's blackened, you can see the smoldering there. That is the hillside behind a lot of apartments that burnt earlier today. We saw helicopter after helicopter drop water, and then we saw fixed planes dropping retardant. You can see one drop happening right now. Now, right beside me is Green Ridge. This is a street that has a lot of apartments on it. You can see the fire truck in the distance there. We talked to a number of people who evacuated after hearing the message coming out from passing golf cart or passing ATV, and they evacuated and then came down to Keller Avenue. We talked to one woman. This is what she had to say about the process.
I see burning embers and a lot of burnt brush. That is pretty scary. A lot of brown trees, burned brown trees.
How close did that come to your apartment?
I say, from what I can see, looks like it's in the backyard.
So without telling me what street you live on, just tell me how close you live to the fire.
I'd say maybe 200 feet, 300 feet.
So you evacuated. How did you get word to evacuate?
Like a green military van came and told everybody to please leave.
Your first reaction when you heard that?
Grabbed my daughter, my husband, the dog, and we left.
And so back out here live now, you can see a lot of cars making U-turns here. They've been asked to leave this area. Again, this area still remains evacuated. We're talking about Keller Avenue and Green Ridge. Now, during the press conference, the fire chief said that 500 people evacuated, including the people that we just spoke to, and that fortunately nobody was hurt. He also emphasized that the forward progress of this fire has been stopped. However, you can see there's still a lot of hot spots out there, a lot of smoldering, and crews will be here for much longer, making sure that this area is safe. Again, people have not returned to their homes yet, and they're just continuing to pay attention to what the updates are. I should also mention, about 20 minutes ago, we got an alert on our cell phone, and the alert here on our cell phone, again, from Alameda County, telling us that areas around here have been evacuated. That is the very latest here. We'll send it right back to you.
And Suzanne, thank you so much. And Dan, right now we're watching another one of those many water pickups collections from, we presume, the nearest reservoir, the body of water that's the Upper San Leandro Reservoir, so that they can use it in their firefight.
Right. And you know, it's always fascinating to watch how they just come in and just literally scoop this giant bucket down into the water and slurp up a bunch of water and head over to the fire. And it has proven very effective. They've stopped the forward progress. No homes were lost, some were damaged. But 500 folks have been evacuated, and they have not yet been allowed back into their homes. That's probably going to change here in the next couple hours. But many of them presumably have gone to an evacuation center set up at Burkholder Elementary School, and that's where ABC 7 News reporter Tara Campbell is live for us. Tara, what's happening there?
Yeah, well, right now there's only a few evacuees here. We are expecting people to start rolling in as the evening carries on. Now, the Red Cross is also going to be arriving soon. You do see some police presence here. They're here to make sure if traffic starts to get built up, they're going to control that, make sure the Red Cross can get in here and do their job. Now, I want to bring in one of the evacuees, Brian Bleish, if you can join us, and just talk to us a little bit about what you've experienced so far and why you're here.
This thing took off in the early afternoon, and fairly shortly after that, we started getting messages through our neighborhood watch group that there might be an evacuation needed, and so it quickly advanced to us needing to evacuate.
And do you have any information on how your home is doing, if it is currently under threat? I mean, we have heard, I believe it's about 10 structures, 10 homes that have been impacted so far.
So I believe we're okay, and judging from where the fire is and the fact that it looks like that they're putting it down pretty effectively right now, I think we're going to be okay.
So ready to hunker down here as long as you need to, but hopeful that you will be back soon.
Absolutely.
All right, Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Live in East Oakland, Tara Campbell, ABC 7 News.
All right, Tara, sounds like there are not too many people there that have shown up at this moment. They're prepared in case many do, but the good news here is this fire seems to be getting under control, so perhaps people won't even need to use that evacuation facility. But are they prepared to handle any number of people? Can you tell?
Sorry, Dan, I didn't hear the question. Can you ask again?
Are they prepared to handle any number of people that show up? I mean, 500 have been evacuated. That's not how many will show up there, if anyone else does, given the fire, which is now 15 acres, by the way, is well under control. Are they prepared to handle dozens and dozens of people or more, if need be?
Yeah, good question, Dan. I would say dozens and dozens, certainly. 500 is a different story. I think we've seen in these fires before, certainly not all 500 people are likely to land here. We will have more information when the Red Cross gets here. Right now, it's more school staff, and we're getting some information from police, but we will be on scene throughout the evening, and of course, providing updates.
Okay, thanks, Chair, very much. Yes, certainly 500 people are not going to show up, and 500 people, many of them are going to be able to go back to their homes most likely in the next couple of hours. As we heard the chief say, Kristen, they are checking out these neighborhoods and these homes now to see if it might be safe to begin to allow people back into their homes. But as you look at these live pictures on the split screen, one from the air, one on the right side of your screen on the ground, the smoke largely dissipated now and not nearly what we had a couple of hours ago. So a very good sign. As they said, this forward progress has been stopped. They basically surrounded it, and now they're just working to make sure all of it is out.
Yeah, and I'm really happy because when I started covering this, it was all thick black smoke and tons of it. So this is definitely a much better scene. By the way, even though forward progress has stopped, even though they're getting a handle on it, there are definitely children's programs that have been impacted. After-school sports have been canceled at Skyline High School and Castlemont High School. That is what we're hearing from the Oakland Unified School District, just to be safe. Why have kids in the area, working out outdoors, breathing the air that may be smoky? So why getting the area where, also obviously the fire engines are still needing to get in and out along with folks. So Skyline High School and also Castlemont High School, no after-school sports today.
Okay, that's not a surprise. Probably better safe than sorry. And of course, with all this smoke the last couple of hours, air quality is an issue. Sandhya Patel is watching that for us and tracking the air quality that is in the immediate area around the fire there in Oakland. Sandhya.
Yeah, and Dan and Kristen, this is coming in just now from the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. An air quality advisory has been issued because of the wildfire smoke near that area. So it may impact the air quality. Right now, when you look at the air quality from Air Now, it's showing good. But I am looking at other websites, and they are showing some impacts because of that smoke from the Keller fire in the Oakland Hills. Air quality advisory for today near the fire. Once again, this is just coming in from the Air District. Smoke from that wildfire in the East Bay may impact your air quality. What is very important is if you see or smell smoke, if you can safely close your door, avoid contact, especially if you're sensitive to smoke. That is something to just keep in mind to avoid exposure. Once again, an air quality advisory has been issued. Let's take a look at the conditions near that fire. Good thing they've gotten control, or at least stop the forward progress, the crews, excuse me. They're not don't have it under control, and that is concerning because when you look at the relative humidity, it is really bone dry, 11%. That wind direction is not favorable, northeasterly. Very drying winds, so it further dries things out. Gusts to 9 miles an hour. Hopefully the crews get it under control because when you have offshore winds, I want to explain what happens. You have a northeasterly wind. It comes off the mountains, goes towards the land, and when it does that, these Diablo winds really dry out the atmosphere even more. We saw this happen in the last 24 hours. The wind gusts in the East Bay Hills have been between 40 to 50 miles an hour. We've seen Mount St. Helena at 75. So here's a look at the hourly wind gusts for the Oakland Hills area. We are looking at still gusty winds. They taper down a little bit later on tonight, but then they pick back up again overnight tonight going into tomorrow morning. Right now, Oakland Hills is reporting 19-mile-an-hour wind gusts, a little stronger to the east. Gusts to 20 in Concord. You will notice 25 in Napa. The relative humidity values in our inland East Bay and even the North Bay in the single digits, which is concerning, down to 6% Concord and Napa. Red flag warnings are still going. You're looking on the left video of that Keller fire in the East Bay Hills from Sky 7. Fire danger remains elevated. Red flag warnings until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Gusts up to 40 miles an hour out of the northeast. Once again, that drying wind. Humidity down to 8%. Any fires that develop will rapidly grow. We've already seen that happen in the East Bay Hills. A wind advisory for the East Bay Hills and valleys, along with the North Bay Hills until tomorrow morning. Gusty winds could take down a few tree limbs and cause some outages. Looking at the winds hour by hour, 5 o'clock this evening, out of the north, you'll notice right around Napa, Fairfield, Oakland, they start to get a little gusty as we head towards the late night hours, and even stronger winds over the higher terrain. Saturday, 30-mile-an-hour winds in Fairfield at 1 a.m., 18 in Oakland, but you get over the ridge tops and those winds are going to pick up even more as they come down sloping. Tomorrow morning, still very gusty. Fire danger index reflects this. We're looking at high fire danger in our hills to very high. 8:40 tonight, still there. It becomes even worse 1:10 in the morning as those winds pick up, going into 6:20 in the morning. So we're certainly not out of danger yet. Once again, air quality may be impacted. This is from Air Now. That's one agency. Looking at some of the other air monitoring sites, there is some indication that the air quality is being impacted and may continue to be impacted because of that Keller fire in the East Bay Hills. So the Air District just issued an air quality advisory near that wildfire, saying you may be impacted if you see or smell the smoke. Get inside, close your windows and doors, put your AC on, recirculate, try to avoid exposure if you can. Do so safely. Dan, Kristen?
Yeah, Sandy, I have to say, no one works harder to get, this is such fabulous information you've been giving us on this. No one works harder to make sure we're updated. You know what I thought was, so great job on this. What I thought was so fascinating is how you explained the last couple of days the water was coming from offshore, bringing moisture air across the bay, and then I guess you said it recently it shifted and now it's coming from the west, I guess, or from the east, I guess, and bringing drier air, and that's what dried things out. Is that right?
So, Dan, yeah. So yesterday, during the first part of the morning, we had more of an onshore wind, which blows from the ocean towards the land.
With more moisture on it.
More moisture, higher humidity. It transports that higher humidity. And that's why it kind of felt coolish yesterday in some areas in the early part of the day. Last night at 11 p.m., the wind started to veer out of the northeast, and when that happens, basically the winds really dry out the atmosphere. It's what we call our Diablo winds. This is a really good graphical description of what happens. It comes out of the northeast, it descends basically over land. It's an offshore wind and blows towards the ocean. So the air is drier over land. When it starts moving over that dry land and moving out towards the coast, it just dries out the atmosphere even more. So that is what basically leads to the fire danger when you combine it with the dry fuels.
So that phenomenon dropped our humidity down to that relative 10%, that really low.
Yeah, the humidity values were fine yesterday morning, but they really went down to the single digits this afternoon because of the fact that we have these offshore winds, downsloping winds. Take a look at some of their current humidity values. I mean, you've got 6% in Concord, 7% in Livermore, 6% in Napa, Vallejo 5%. This is just bone dry.
Yeah.
And you combine that with October, and one of the most dangerous times of year. We get our destructive fires, the most devastating fires we've seen in years past. You and I have been broadcasting for decades, and I can tell you that the red flag warning is there for a reason. This is the time of year when our fire season is at its peak.
Okay.
And so that is just concerning.
Excellent. All right. Thanks so much, Sandy. Great information. Great explanations. All right.
All right, just a super quick recap because we do want to take a little break, but we've been following this Keller fire that broke out early this afternoon, and the latest is after 100 firefighters, hard work involving multiple agencies and aircraft. What we understand is 10 structures were damaged, but none a total loss, is what Chief Damon Covington said in a news conference.
That's a real success, really.
And that has started behind somebody's house. They heard an explosion, and then it just went from there, given how quickly this spreads, how much fuel there is in that area, how dry it is. But again, they don't know exactly what sparked it. But the chief also made the point that in conditions like these, it is so easy for a fire to just be sparked by a cigarette or anything like that.
It is so dry. And as you look at the smoke, which is so much better than it was an hour or so ago, and certainly when it started at about 1:30, you can bet that firefighters will be on this scene for hours yet, maybe all night, making sure that there are no hot spots or no embers have slipped away and blown in the wind and start fire someplace else. But we'll continue to keep you updated on the Keller fire as our coverage continues here on ABC 7. We'll be back in just a moment.